People are earning as much as $300 a year with the Get Upside app. It's so easy. Open the app to see nearby gas stations offering money back, pick the one you want, and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Get Upside Gas app and earn up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder, Radio News Network.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to earn up to 25 cents a gallon cash back when you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY for a 50 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Get up to 75 cents a gallon cash back on your next fill up when you download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TODAY. Promo code TODAY.
Mucinex DM's bilayer tablet allows for immediate and extended release, relieving both wet and dry coughs and loosening chest congestion for 12 long hours. Grab Mucinex DM, available at Walgreens.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, happy Tuesday. Welcome in. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash hanging out with you here. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, also brought to you by Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Kev, welcome in. Happy Tuesday.
What up, though?
So you've been working on this little project.
A little bit.
Been working on we've created a new hashtag Kev is right, because we're so used to Kev always being right. But Kev's been working on a little project. It's called hashtag Kinner was wrong.
Yeah. It's been a long, tedious process because coming back to all the tapes and everything, checking the records, you're wrong a lot. Even though you do have your fair share of things being right, I can't front on you all the way. But, Bengals centric, especially this year, ooh-wee.
Well, I do want to congratulate the Bengals on screwing something up, and here's what it is. You could have had Sean Payton as your head coach, but you had to go start winning under Zach. You could have got rid of Zach Taylor and had Sean Payton lead the way for Joe Burrow. Now you got Zach Taylor the rest of the way. Congratulations. But the one thing I was right about a year ago, Kev, I called it. I said Sean Payton has had one more year with the Saints, and I thought, and look, even Bengals fans know that you weren't expecting this coming into the year. You weren't expecting the Cincinnati Bengals to be a game away from the Super Bowl this year. Let's just be honest. But last year around this time, I started predicting that the Saints and Sean Payton would move on. I think that he kind of wants a fresh start. I think he has one more run left in him as a head coach, whether it's probably going to be Dallas, most likely, with Dak Prescott, maybe. But I thought that at the time, a year ago, I said the Cincinnati Bengals are an interesting destination for a Sean Payton because, look, 6 games in 2 years, I did not think that Sean Payton would lead this team to 13 wins and a game away from a Super Bowl right now. And that's where we're at. But if the Bengals would have stuck to the plan of just, gradually taking some stride, some steps forward, I think that all of a sudden Mike Brown would have been in a position where he has to look at Zach Taylor and say, well, we didn't take that many steps forward. Now let's go get Sean Payton. Can you imagine? It was announced that Sean Payton and the Saints stepping away. So I was like, you know what? Sean Payton to the Bengals would have been fantastic. Sean Payton with, his offensive scheme, with that offensive mind of his, with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. I thought that would have been perfect. But nice job, Bengals fans. You decided to win, and you won yourself right out of the Sean Payton sweepstakes, and now you end up with Zach Taylor. So congratulations. I guess you won.
Well, Sean Payton's doing just like we're all doing. We're watching the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend. Coach Taylor is in the game, coaching, trying to get his team to the Super Bowl. So, all well ends well, right?
But 518-1410, that's the number to jump in on the conversation. But, Sean Payton, of course, when that news was announced, Kev, not that surprising. The game's kind of hard when you don't have a Drew Brees. The game's kind of hard when you don't have a quarterback. You obviously have your Alvin Kamara's, and you obviously have your Michael Thomas's of the world and everything. But I don't know what that means for the Saints right now. Are the Saints just going to blow it all up?
Man, well, when you don't have your number one receiver, Michael Thomas, for 2 years, that hurts. And then you don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, that hurts. Then you don't have a starting quarterback caliber quarterback half the season, that hurts. Jameis Winston, you were trying to fix him. He gets his leg snapped. So he's out half the year and everything like that. So everything just comes crumbling down. And, you look at some of their cap numbers, like a lot of those defensive guys that we look at that basically gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a goose egg during the back half of the season. A lot of those dudes are being paid big money. So they got cap situations, they got player problems, they have a beef between the wide receiver and the organization over his ankle and everything like that. This is a perfect time for Sean Payton to say, New Orleans, I got a Super Bowl victory here. Time for me to go on to the next phase of my career. If it's Dallas, if it's allegedly going to the broadcasting booth, so be it.
Yeah, the thing I found interesting too, and look, last year when I said this, or really kind of in the offseason heading in, I thought for sure that the Bengals would have been a pretty cool destination for Sean Payton or whatever, but obviously that's not the case. Sean Payton has decided to step away as the New Orleans Saints head coach after 16 years, a source confirmed to ESPN. This is according to Mike Triplett, staff writer for ESPN. Payton is not necessarily retiring permanently, but has decided to take a break after 15 seasons as the Saints coach. The source said he totaled 15 seasons as head coach because he was suspended in 2012. So 16 years as head coach, but I forgot about the 2012 full long season suspension, one of the weirder NFL storylines over the last decade as a result of the bounty investigation. It's not immediately clear as far as what Payton plans to do next. Sources have told ESPN that television networks have shown considerable interest in hiring him. The news of Payton's decision was first reported by the NFL Network. Keep in mind, Payton's 58 years old. He has 3 years remaining on his deal with the Saints after signing his latest extension back in 2019. So the Saints would maintain his rights, Kev, if he decided to return to coaching, and could require compensation if he wants to coach for another team. Look, if a team wants him bad enough, they'll just basically pay for the buyout, right? Like You'll just basically pay whatever it is. It is interesting. Is he a coach in 2022?
Yes, because a lot of teams out there want to win. A lot of teams out there trying to figure out things. And, coordinators are cool. It's cool to get a new up-and-coming coordinator, but know what's better than a coordinator? A well-established head coach that has victories in this league, that has a program in this league, that has connections in this league, has a Super Bowl under his belt. So I wouldn't mind if my team, well, not my team because I love my head coach, but I'm saying, like, if I'm a Denver Broncos fan, dial him up. If I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm looking at the way that last second 13 seconds went with the Dallas Cowboys. You look at how 13 seconds went with the Kansas City Chiefs versus how 13 seconds went with the Dallas Cowboys. All that is in coaching. All that is being prepared for the moment and everything like that. And that goes right down to head coach. And there's no doubt in my mind that Mike McCarthy is getting looks not only from the players, not only from all the fans of the Dallas Cowboys, but Jerry Jones himself, because he came out early and said, he's my guy, I'm sticking with him. And now Jerry Jones is starting to waver. And now that this news comes out, you got a hot commodity down there waiting and probably willing to come in there and take over a high-power offense in the Dallas Cowboys and fix the wrongs and everything like that. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm like, I'm updating my resume.
518-1410, that's the number to jump in on the conversation. And the thing that's interesting the most to me right now is will he sit out for the rest of the season? Will he end up, or not rest of the season, I'm sorry, will he sit out all of next season, or will he be on the sidelines leading the way? That's what we talked to Kev about too. Just asked him, does he think that Sean Payton will take a job as early as next season? I think there's a lot of desperate teams. There's going to be a lot of teams that are in line to obviously get his services, and it's an offensive-minded job. If I'm the Jets, if you're the Jets, do you look at? I don't think Sean Payton's going to go to a rebuilding situation, though. Sean Payton right now, I think one reason that he's stepping away from New Orleans is just because New Orleans is not close to being a Super Bowl contender. You have Taysom Hill. Let's say you get Jameis Winston to come back. Although you're probably a good football team, I don't think that anyone's looking at them as Super Bowl contenders as far as that's concerned. I think he wants to go somewhere where he can win and win right away. So you start looking around the NFL, you start questioning and wondering exactly where he could end up. Obviously, Kev mentioned Denver. Denver doesn't have a quarterback. The Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders could be an interesting destination for Sean Payton if he wanted to head that direction. One job that I'd say to keep an eye on, of course, there's reports out of Arizona that Cliff Kingsbury in the front office, had a little bit of an eruption after the season had ended, that they had a nice little blow up in the front office, just kind of a heated exchange, if you will. There's some people doubting Cliff Kingsbury, and as far as the Cardinals are concerned, for the third straight season, winning in the first half, losing and collapsing in the back half. Sean Payton going to Arizona, Kev, with the Cardinals, that could be an interesting destination for him. That's not a rebuild. That's a team that's ready to win now.
Yeah, for sure. You look at some of the offensive weapons that they have. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, he missed the back half of the season. He's the number one target out there and everything like that. Kyler Murray, maybe he can fix Kyler Murray from throwing skyhook interceptions. Maybe he can stop him from doing that, because that was terrible on Monday Night Football.
One bad play. The dude had one hell of a season, but I agree with you. Yes, but look, he had Jameis Winston going from ESPN's 30 for 30, looking like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for that first month and a half of the season before he went down with that unfortunate injury. So obviously that could be a potential good destination. I'm just looking around the rest of these spots. Miami, no. I mean, I think if Tua was a little bit more developed and you felt like he was actually the guy, but maybe if Miami, like, they start picking up the desperation of, we're going to go get Deshaun Watson, we're going to find a way to possibly trade for, obviously, you look at the Seattle situation to go get Russell Wilson. I don't know, but I think a lot of teams now that Sean Payton's available could start to make some desperate moves to line some stuff up to be able to be a destination spot for him. Seattle could be a destination spot as well, because there's talks of, the Pete Carroll message, growing a little stale in that Seahawks locker room. So Sean Payton over there. I think that the Cardinals makes the most sense. Obviously the Dallas Cowboys as well, but you begin looking up and down this NFL, as far as available spots are concerned, I don't see it anywhere. I don't see where an opportunity for him makes sense as far as a win now situation. Denver, as you said, Kev, but they don't have a quarterback,
right?
Unless Aaron Rodgers demands that trade to Denver and all of a sudden all the stars start lining up, then Denver makes sense. The Raiders kind of makes sense, but is Derek Carr a kind of quarterback that Sean Payton looks at? I've given Derek Carr his props.
When?
I told you last week I would love it the Cleveland Browns had Derek Carr. I'm not anti-Derek Carr, but I am, pointing out that the Cincinnati Bengals have had the easiest path through the playoffs. I mean, you've had to face Derek Carr, Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill. I mean, that's not Big Ben and Josh Allen or Kyler Murray and Tom Brady or Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers like all the other quarterbacks. I'm just saying, it's a fact. It's not opinion. But a very good quarterback, but he's not Aaron Rodgers, not Tom Brady, not any of those guys. But no, it just depends where he could potentially end up. I just had a Bengals fan in the chat say, hold on, it kind of went away. Randy on Facebook, Kev says, or on YouTube, would the Bengals still go after Sean Payton's expertise and experience, or would they stick with Zach Taylor's momentum and culture he's developed? Will it depend on what happens in the postseason? Well, even if they would have gotten, let's say they lost last weekend, they still won. They ended the 31-year playoff drought. They won the AFC North. They have a future MVP quarterback in Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase, top 5 wide receiver already as a rookie. I don't know if Zach Taylor doesn't deserve to have his job taken.
No.
But if you feel like you could always upgrade it. I mean, you could have people that are good at their job and still find people that are better. Mm-hmm. And Sean Payton, I believe, is a better head coach than Zach Taylor. But to Randy's point in this question, the culture has already been established.
Right.
The momentum's already there. If the Bengals looked flat, if the Bengals had won 8 games this year or 9 games and missed the playoff, I say you kick the tires on the Sean Payton thing. And you know what I mean? But because you won the division, because you won a playoff game and ended the 31-year drought, because your team looks legitimate, I don't think you mess with that. And this is coming from me, who was all about Sean Payton in Cincinnati not even a year ago. I thought it made a ton of sense because I could see the writing on the wall. It's like New Orleans they're going backwards. They're not trending upward. They're going backwards. That's not Sean Payton at his point of his career. He's not interested in a rebuild. Cincinnati would make a lot of sense if that was the case. But no, I don't think that's a 0% chance of happening at this point. However, like I said, if the Bengals would have just won 7 to 9 games, missed the playoffs, or got eliminated in the first round, I think you kick the tires on it. But right now, this team's they're clicking on all cylinders, and I can't say Zach Taylor has nothing to do with that. I think that's kind of disrespectful to him. So there you go.
I agree.
518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Ryan online too.
What up, Ryan? How are you, sir?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, Zach Taylor's going nowhere. I mean, Zach Taylor is going absolutely nowhere. And reason one, obviously, all the accolades and everything that's put out this year, making the AFC Championship game. Joe Burrow loves him. He loves him. He is going nowhere. Sean Payton, though, good move there. I mean, they're extremely over the cap. I don't have the number in front of me. I think they're like $70 million over the cap. So he's kind of seeing the writing on the wall. He's been super successful. I mean, obviously, he's a phenomenal coach. I agree with you. I agree with you guys' statement and everything on Payton. He's phenomenal. But I think that's just kind of writing on the wall, time to kind of go the different direction. But
Ryan, Ryan, do you agree?
Okay,
like a year ago at this time, I was saying that I thought I was predicting Sean Payton to Cincinnati. A year ago at this time, no one expected the Bengals to be this good. I think there were people more confident in the team than me. But had the Bengals just won 8 to 9 games, missed the playoffs, showed improvement, but still didn't take the jump that they did this year, would it have made sense at that point?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I agree on that piece of it with Zach and that, and just kind of how the season would have gone. I mean, obviously, you had the 2-14, and then losing his second year in that piece.
Roddy Patterson on Facebook, real quick, Ryan. Roddy Patterson messages in saying, "Is Sean Payton better though? He had Drew Brees forever and only won 1 Super Bowl. It's not a. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a bad question."
No, it is, and they actually had a lot of 8-8 dips where, other than even throw. Obviously, of course, the Patriots out. But if you go back and look, they'd have those kind of where they had to retool and kind of reassess where they were with Breeze and with everything like that. So, but no, I wanted to, guys, I was calling the main thing, is kind of talking about Taylor and the coaching. I actually want to say the best thing that Zach Taylor did was in 2019, if you guys remember, he benched Dalton and stuck in Ryan Finley. Okay. And they were miserable. Everything lines up. The Bengals go 2-14, and they actually almost won a game there at the end of the year against the Dolphins, a crazy game and all that. But if Dalton's in, he would have gotten 1 or 2 more wins just kind of here, and they don't get Joe Burrow. So that is, ironically, nothing that Zach Taylor's done on the field is his best decision. His best decision was benching Andy Dalton for Ryan Finley. So the Bengals got the number 1 pick after the 2019 season. That's my
So what you're saying is Zach Taylor was really good at losing. He knows how to lose really well. Is that what you're saying?
And then the irony of it too, the next year is they don't have Jamar Chase if Joe Burrow doesn't get his leg lose his knee. It's just crazy how all these things. I mean, I love the Bengals. They're working in reverse. And working the opposite of what the history has been is actually terrible things at the time you think are actually turning into pluses. Getting Joe Burrow, getting Jamar Chase. I mean, we might have Tua, and I don't know who would be the if we would have picked 4th or 5th that year, to have Tua, Tagovailoa, and
Justin Herbert.
That actually should be that would.
But I'm not going to sit here and wave that flag because at that time I wasn't high on Justin Herbert. I liked Justin Herbert since seeing him in the NFL, but coming out of college, I was like, I think this guy's overhyped. But what do I know?
Yeah,
so
I'm with you on that. I saw his best game I saw was Oregon, that Rose Bowl, and he did it with his legs, not his arm, against Wisconsin, which I was kind of. And now he looks like he's 6'5" Brett Favre, just kind of the other one. So I'm excited, though, guys. You do a great show. I just want to call and just kind of my Zach Taylor best coaching moment was lining up the Joe Burrow pick by benching Dalton. So
it's like they envisioned it from the beginning. They knew it from the beginning. Ryan, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
518-1410. Yes, Sean Payton to Cincinnati. That's obviously not happening, but it's their fault. They had to win. I blame Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor screwed over the Bengals from getting Sean Payton. I mean, if Zach Taylor would not have figured out how to win, you could have had Sean Payton. How dumb do you guys feel? I'm joking, of course. Calm down, people. There are some people that take me too serious sometimes. Brian Staley on Facebook says, breaking news, Payton goes to the Bears. They sign Rodgers and trade Fields for a number 2 wide receiver to complement Allen Robinson. Well, for one, Aaron Rodgers isn't a free agent. The Packers are going to have to trade him, and they're definitely not going to trade within the division. Aaron Rodgers to the Bears would be interesting. If Aaron Rodgers was a free agent, I could see him wanting to go to Chicago if they were able to provide him with some wide receivers and some talent. But who knows? I think all these older quarterbacks, they're heading south, for all of their new teams. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I don't think Aaron Rodgers plays for another team next year. I could see him retiring before playing for another team because if I'm Green Bay, I'm like, okay, we're going to trade you and lose, so we might as well just keep you and lose and just kind of go from there. But I know that's a little dangerous. It just depends how much you can get back for him. But
yeah, depends on how much you can get back for him, man. The whole Aaron Rodgers handshake deal that he had with management and everything like that in the offseason to quote unquote get him to come to camp and everything like that. Will they honor that? If they don't honor that, how will that affect morale in the locker room? And how will that affect free agents and everything like that? There's a lot to unpack.
Mark Smith says, and I'm curious, this is a good question for you being a Steelers fan. Who is to say that Tomlin won't react the same way now that Big Ben is done? He might want to go somewhere else after a year with Mason Rudolph. Now, let's be clear. They went 8-8 with Mason Rudolph a few years ago. Okay, they went 8-8. And that was the year that Big Ben went out for the rest of the season. And everyone thought that they were just going to throw in the towel for the rest. Then they trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, you're just lost your quarterback for the rest of this. That's a franchise that doesn't believe in a rebuild.
Right.
They don't believe in, well, let's just blow it up. We'll just get rid of everybody. That was a season. Can you name any other franchise, Kev, that would have had your franchise starting quarterback go down with the season-ending injury and then a week later make a trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick, giving up first-rounders to give yourself a chance to win this season? That doesn't happen. I can't think of examples like that.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are a very selfish organization. They're selfish to winning. And, when you have franchises like the Pittsburgh Steelers or even like a Los Angeles Lakers, those are family-owned businesses. A lot of the teams now, their own like corporations and everything like that, but these are like family owned. Even like the New York Giants, they're a family owned business as well. So you have that, and you have that in the city of Pittsburgh and everything like that. The fans are accustomed to winning and everything like that. But there's huge turnover going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
GM gone,
GM's retiring, Ben's retiring, the defensive coordinator's retiring. So there's a lot of holes there to fix, and a lot more is going to be put on Mike Tomlin's plate because, that's his job. His job is going to be to help with the hiring process of the new GM and obviously the new defensive coordinator and everything like that. And I wouldn't mind getting a new offensive coordinator either, by the way.
Choked up thinking about Mike Tomlin potentially leaving the old. Like Kev can't imagine the Steelers without Mike Tomlin. He was getting all choked up right there.
I've only seen 2 head coaches with my team. No, 3. I've seen Chuck Noll, I've seen the Jaw, Bill Cowher, and I've seen Mike Tomlin.
You'll get a good one eventually. I have faith that you'll get a good one eventually. 518-1410. Kev, who's up?
We got Dickie on line 3.
Dickie on line 3. What up, Dickie?
Oh,
did we lose him? 518-1410, 518-1410. Dickie actually stopped by earlier today. He got an ESPN 1410 ESPN Radio t-shirt. We gave him a 1410 Wing AM mask. So he's all decked out in the 1410 Wing AM gear. But 518-1410, we'll continue taking your calls here. We'll have ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz joining us an hour from now. We'll chat with him about Sean Payton's departure from the Saints, where he could potentially end up. We'll talk about the Bengals and the Chiefs coming up this weekend in the AFC title game. And we got all that coming up. I'm excited to chat with him. His thoughts on the 4 best playoff games I can remember, all at one time, all in one playoff, all in one weekend. If you're an NFL fan, you were not disappointed. Hell, my teams, I have 2 teams. I have an actual team and a side chick team. Both of them are out, and I still enjoyed my weekend, even with the team I can't stand winning. So I'll let you decide which team that is. I don't know.
The crazy thing about this weekend and what makes this weekend so great, or last weekend so great, outside of the caliber of football, everybody's watching. On a normal college football weekend, there's so many games on. You can regionalize it. I'm talking to my brother who lives in Las Vegas. I'm talking to one of his good friends who lives in Denver. So in a normal football Sunday, they have their local games on and everything like that. But when it's, divisional round of the playoffs, there's only 4 games. Everybody's watching the same 4 games all at the same time. So everybody's locked in. No wonder these ratings are through the roof. No wonder. I was reading another article about ratings about these games, but they're talking about data coverage spiking like crazy during these games because everybody and their mom is not only reacting to everything that they saw on the games on Twitter and on social media and everything like that, but they're calling their friends, they're FaceTiming their friends, they're using text message technology to go interact with people about these games, and just so many oh my gosh moments throughout the entire weekend. NFL is king, man. And when you have games like this, this what makes us love sports so much, because there's so much on the line and we want the playoffs to mean so much. And when you have good games and they actually deliver, that takes your sport to the next level. And that's why college football struggles at the back half of the season, because the games that matter the most aren't the most entertaining. You know what I'm saying? These games were super entertaining, man, to the max, man. And I'm praying that these NFC and AFC championship games are half as entertaining as what we got last weekend. If they're half as entertaining as we got last weekend, it's a victory.
Thought about this earlier today. You know, you look at the college football playoff format as it is right now, you know, the two semifinals and the championship game. Obviously, the Super Bowl is a host site. Mm-hmm. Do you ever see a day with as money hungry as the NFL is? Be thinking about this. We're going to talk about this on the other side. As money hungry as the NFL is, do you ever see a time where the AFC championship and NFC championship become host site situations as well? I'm curious people's thoughts on that, because I don't think it's that crazy, especially with just how the game continues to grow, you know, especially with adding the playoffs. You know, you got extra playoff games now. There's more teams in the playoff. I'm just curious, you know, the wild card and divisional round, the higher seeds get to host those matchups. What do you guys think about host sites for the NFC and AFC championship game? Obviously, the Super Bowl already has it. 518-1410. Be thinking about that. Hashtag Kinner was wrong. Kev has been working pretty aggressively on this little project. I have provided a long hours and hours of clips of me just being straight up wrong about this Cincinnati Bengals team. So Kev was able to piece together. He took about 50 hours worth of clips, shrunk it down to 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. And it's just 2 minutes of Kinner being wrong about the Cincinnati Bengals. You don't want to miss that. We're going to get to that a half hour from now. Top of the hour, 4 o'clock. Hashtag Kinner was wrong. And that all plays into the hashtag Kev was right. So there you go. But 518-1410, AFC, NFC championship games. Do you like it the way it is with the higher seeds hosting it? Or do you want to see a host site for the AFC and NFC championship games? I am kind of curious, because there was talks of with Joe Burrow talking about how there's SEC stadiums or arenas that he's played in that they don't even come close, that the NFL games don't even come close to being as loud and frenzied as these SEC games that he's played in. And it got me to thinking, like, you know, could you potentially see these college type atmospheres in these host sites for the AFC NFC championship game? Imagine an NFC championship game at the Rose Bowl. Can you? I mean, that would be pretty dang insane, right? And then you would have to run into these situations where you have these ice bowls because you'd be playing in nicer weather and it'd be better product. Would you rather have 13-10 or 16-13 or whatever it was, 19-16? Those games because of the elements or nicer weather. Imagine Joe Burrow in that offense in Pasadena. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like 518-1410. I'm just curious, folks. 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. So good, you gotta try it. With Straight Talk, you can get our Silver Unlimited plan for just $45 a month. Now with unlimited high-speed data, plus 5 gigabytes hotspot data, and no contract, with nationwide 5G on America's best networks. Why pay a whole lot for your data when you can get unlimited for a whole lot less? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Ready on take one?
Ready.
Okay, this is a crucial moment of the audiobook, The Big Escape.
Chapter 9. They had waited long enough when finally the clock struck midnight and...
Wait, where are you going? Nope.
When you need a taco, you need a taco. Try the beefy melt and Fiesta veggie burritos. Just $2 each. Only at Taco Bell. And that's my time.
I'm not the voiceover guy, too, but guess I'll read the legal copy. At participating Taco Bell stores for limited time only. Price and participation vary. Tax extra. Taco Bell vegetarian items allow for dairy and egg consumption. Preparation methods could lead to cross-contact with meat. Visit TacoBell.com for full details.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
O'Reilly. Are your wiper blades chattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let streaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades while you wait. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizza, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Give your bathroom a makeover and save big money on everything now at Menards. Add the finishing touch to your bathroom project with towel bars, paper holders, robe hooks, and towel rings from Delta. With over 22 collections to choose from, find something to complement any decor. Right now, all Delta bath accessories are on sale. During Menards, more bang for your buck sale. Prices are good through February 6th.
Save big money at Menards.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray. It's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Football fans, the Sunday morning tailgate show is officially back. Every Sunday morning starting at 11:30 a.m. College football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will be live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. The guys will recap the biggest games from college football Saturday, including your Ohio State Buckeyes. The guys will also get you set up for the day's biggest NFL matchups, featuring your Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and more. It's the Sunday morning tailgate show, live from Frickers on 741. Sunday mornings at 11:30 on 1410 ESPN Radio.
So, Kev, I had a segment planned for right now, but Shaw already gave us the answer, so there's no need to even talk about it because, Shaw knows everything.
Oh, okay, cool. On to the next one.
Well, we need to ask our producer, Shaw, if we're allowed to even, I mean, it's just, just curious people's thoughts on this. I know people and let me ask you this, college football play. I like the host site. I think that the games look different and they look cooler and they just look like a big stage. Mm-hmm. Do you like the college football playoff format as is, where there's host sites for the semifinals? This will never change, I don't think, just because the money is coming from these host sites, right? By the way. That's why anyone out there that thinks it's crazy to ever think that the NFL would switch this up, I don't think it's that crazy, especially if they expand the playoffs one more time. I could definitely see them going this route. But, with the AFC, NFC championship games coming up this weekend, you obviously the Chiefs at home and the NFC side, of course. Who is the home team on the NFC side?
Rams.
Not the Niners, so it's the Rams, obviously. So, home field advantage for the Rams, home field advantage for the Chiefs, and rightfully so. Better teams, but Bengals beat Kansas City.
Right.
This year, what have you. But I am curious, like with the semifinals in college football being on host, neutral sites or, at the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl and all this, I kind of like the feel of those. And then you kind of get that overlap of, college and pro. We know that, it's the feeder system for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of like the idea of the NFC and AFC championship game having host sites and how it's not that far-fetched to think that the NFL has never kicked the tires on this or at least considered it. Think about the money that they get for obviously these wouldn't be as big as the Super Bowl, but pretty damn close. You're going to put these in these ginormous stadiums. You're going to be able to, the entertainment, like for the halftime shows again, like you're going to be able to expand it. It's not just going to be one big show a year. You're going to have 3 big shows a year. The college football playoff does it. I would not be surprised to see the NFL go in that direction at some point, especially with expanding the playoff this year, expanding the regular season, being what that is. Do you like it? Again, we saw a lot of games this past week. You're playing outside in very cold temperatures if you're having to play in Cincinnati or Nashville or in Green Bay or Cleveland or New England or what have you. You get these neutral site games. They're indoors in these domes, or they're in warmer temps. Imagine an NFC championship game at the Rose Bowl. How cool would that freaking be? All I'm saying is I would actually kind of like it. When you watch the games, and I watched Alabama and Cincinnati, they could have had Alabama hosting the Bearcats, and it would have been cool to see the Bearcats in the playoff, but it wouldn't have felt like you're watching them in the play. You're watching them go into the Lions' Den to go play at Alabama. But like seeing them play in those big stadiums, I think that would, it kind of gives it a bigger game feel. You feel like you're on a bigger stage. And to me, the NFC, AFC title games and the Super Bowl, those are the 2 biggest stages of the season. I would like it. I'm probably in the minority on it, but I would love to see that, to be honest with you. But I'm fans of teams that never host the damn games anyway, so I'm not out anything as a Browns fan. So there you go.
A couple things to unpack from my perspective. One, you're not wrong. The NFL, they're always in it for the money. Like they've made the NFL draft combine an experience now, not only for the players that are at the combine, but for the media and fans. Obviously a lot of those plans got derailed because of COVID and everything like that. But in the near future, that's going to be a fan experience as well, along with the combine. So that's the thing. The NFL draft is bouncing all around the place. It used to only be at Radio City Music Hall in New York. Now it bounces around from city to city. Yeah.
The combine, like it was just a non-televised thing. Now it's a televised event. Cities are going to start bidding on it. Yeah. So if cities are bidding on stupid things like the combine, the draft, the thought of it traveling around was funny until you saw it for the first time in Nashville when it just flooded the streets with people. So to sit there and say that there's no way that a host site would ever happen for the AFC NFC title game that was Shaw. I can't say that there's no way. Is it unlikely? Is it close to happening? I don't think so. But to say it's never going to happen, I have a hard time believing.
It's definitely a possibility. Would I like it? Absolutely not. I love the fact that you have teams going on the road. I love the fact that you fight all season long to get home field advantage. Forget if I was a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. If the Pittsburgh Steelers had the 1 seed and they're in the AFC Championship game versus the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are coming up from Miami to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in January, I would imagine it's going to be cold outside. I'm going to imagine that it's going to make that advantage from my team that much better. And that's what you fight so long and so hard for, to get home field advantage, to be in your stadium, to have the home field advantage, not only the elements, but your fans as well. So I think that element alone goes a long way. And then 3, the fact that Joe Burrow is talking about going into these stadiums in the SEC and big time environments and everything like that. College football stadiums are bigger than NFL stadiums. 100,000 at the Shoe, over 100,000 at the Big House, 100,000 at, I believe it's Nippert Stadium. No, not Nippert Stadium. That's where UC plays. Where Tennessee plays, over 100,000 at LSU, over 100,000 at Alabama. Yeah, but you know what? Most of these NFL stadiums are about 60, maybe 70. That's nothing compared to what these college football stadiums pack in there, and the way the energy that the college kids bring and all the energy that college football brings. Yeah, you're not going to get that type of environment at an NFL game. And I'll say this about especially those kickoff classics that we have in college football, at Jerry's World or in Atlanta, everything, Alabama versus whomever, and Alabama rolls them every year and everything like that. A lot of those environments are stale because there's a lot of media and there's a lot of corporate sponsors in there. You don't necessarily get a ton of fans. And you also get that in the Super Bowl. You don't have a ton of actual fans. You don't have a ton of Bills Mafia in the building. You don't have a ton of terrible towels waving in the building. You have a section, and then you have a section for the other team. But a lot of that stuff is corporate, and it looks great on TV. It looks great on TV. My brother actually has been to a Super Bowl, and he's like, yeah, I would much rather watch this on TV, especially if it's my team. Like, it's not rowdy. It's not like going to
it's a corporate
big
event.
Yeah, it's a corporate event. And, the NFL, they don't care about the in-stadium experience. They care about the almighty dollar. So to your point, absolutely, everything's on the table when it comes to the NFL when it's about that money. But me, as a consumer, as a person that's watching on TV, I love to see the pan of the crowd and to see a full stadium going against the other team. And the fact that we had 3 road teams go on the road last week and shut up the crowd, I thought that was awesome.
518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. And with all that being said, but here's the other deal. Aaron Rodgers is arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. You could argue it's Patrick Mahomes, okay, Tom Brady, whatever, doesn't matter. But Aaron Rodgers, one of the biggest talents in the NFL. You watch him throw for all those yards, all those touchdowns. You watch him dominate all season long just to get to games in late January. And there's never going to be a good weather day in Green Bay. You're never so to have 2 games this past weekend, by the way, Joe Burrow and that offense, the same thing with Ryan Tannehill is an average quarterback at best, who, when the elements are good, is a pretty solid, he's a pretty damn good quarterback, right? He's not the worst in the league. But when you add those elements, you take average quarterbacks to below average and make them bad. The elements make you worse than what you are. It humbled Aaron Rodgers. It brought Aaron Rodgers down. And that's a guy that has played it his entire career in Green Bay. How many games do we see get impacted by not just cold? 30 degrees is cold. What they're playing in isn't cold. That's just, to me, it's just amazing that they still go out and play in that stuff. Not, I'm saying that I'm soft that they shouldn't, but why play out there if you don't have to? I'm really curious if you talk to players what their thoughts would be. I mean, I want to talk to Keith, who's played in Philadelphia, who, I'm assuming he likes those home games. But at the same time, if you could play an NFC, AFC championship game in a neutral site, you're still going to have your fans there. I know it's a little bit more of a difficult ticket to get, but in warmer weather, in domes, and just again, the Packers were built to be an aired out type team. Well, when the elements take that away, and I know that's part of football, but football does have the ability to be able to control some of those things a little bit. We get mad all the time. Well, the college football playoff, it never comes anywhere around here. Indianapolis is as close as it gets, but it's in a dome. And you're lucky that they have a dome, because otherwise it wouldn't come to Indianapolis. Why? They want their best product in environments that the talent will be able to shine. You don't want to watch Ohio State with CJ Stroud have to go play in -5-degree weather, and then all of a sudden you just have to hand it off the entire time. And you know what I mean? To me, I just think it hurts the product. This past weekend, it hurt the Joe Burrow Cincinnati Bengals product. It hurt the Tennessee Titans product. It hurt the Packers product. Jimmy Garoppolo thrived because he's a winner. But you know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, that's where I come at it with that is, you build a roster to air it out. The Rams roster is great. If the Rams had to play Green Bay at Green Bay, yes, you could say, oh, that sucks for them. They definitely lose. But let's be clear. You got less of Aaron Rodgers. Now you're going to get less of Matthew Stafford. You're going to get less of, obviously, Cooper Kupp and OBJ in the air it out type of game that everyone wants to tune in to watch. I get it. It's cool that the elements, it's part of football. But I'm saying if the NFL can control it and get their stars out of those environments where it neutralizes or waters down the product, I just would be very shocked if it hasn't been talked about or isn't being talked about for future events, because I'd rather see Aaron Rodgers in the dome with that Packers offense. Devontae Adams, we got robbed of watching stars play at a high level, not because they're not good, not because they weren't well prepared. You're that damn weather. To me, again, not a huge deal, but I would prefer the neutral site games for that very reason.
I'm the Aaron Rodgers fan on this show. I'm not letting him off the hook. Take the check down. Stop throwing into triple coverage.
I'm a fan, damn it. I want Devontae. I want him to get in the ball.
I'm the Aaron Rodgers apologist on this show, but I can't let him off the hook, man. They could have easily won that game on third down if he would have just took the check down. If he just took the check down, they would have converted on third down and milked 2 more minutes off the clock and won the game. But he threw it in triple coverage, so he gets what he deserves. He's watching just like me and you. And weather, I mean, we're all, well, you weren't born here. I was born here in the great state of Ohio. As I look outside and I look at the gray grass and the snow falling, I remember as a kid playing football in this weather. So if I can play in it for free, they can play in it to get paid.
Okay, tonight it's going to be negative like 7 or something.
I said as a kid.
No, listen. -7. Shaw, who knows all. No, he agrees with you, Kev. Hashtag Kev was right. You know, I think he has it I think he got it tattooed on his right ass cheek, to be quite honest with you. Shaw says, some would say, and he called me the D word a little bit ago, so, you know, whatever. But, so classy. He's a Michigan fan. Doesn't surprise me. He says, some would say the indoor games have hurt football. No one says that. No one believes that. I don't think, not a lot of people say the outdoor game is hurting football, but no one with a brain has ever said that indoor football has hurt football. Let's just be honest. Indoors, where it's nicer weather, where your quarterbacks get to be comfortable throwing the football, the offenses are more comfortable. Like, what shot? Let's just be honest. Nobody has said that indoors have hurt football, but nice try. But he goes, some would say that the indoor games have hurt football. They say, I love when people do this. Some would say, they say. Who are these people, Shaw? In fact, I'm calling you out, putting you on the spot. Some would say the indoor games have hurt football. Who are those some? Provide examples. Shaw. Then he goes on to say that they say the game is supposed to be played outside. Who's they? I'm looking for they. Coming up next, we're going to have they on the show as they tell us why the game should be played outside. Weather is a part of it. I get that. But it's such a weird sport, Kev. The sport starts during a time of year where you got to worry about heat exhaustion, and it ends with the time that Aaron Rodgers looks just below average because of the weather, not because he's bad. But like I said, there's cold, 20 and 30 degree weather. Go stand outside tonight. If you can go outside tonight for 3 minutes without a jacket or a long sleeve shirt on, just put a long sleeve shirt on. That's fine. Stand outside for 3 minutes.
Blue 92.
You can be blue all over.
Rover.
So I'm just saying, like,
52's the mic.
Go stand outside in tonight's weather and then tell me, yeah, they should play outside. I'm just saying, like, come on. It is what it is. 518-1410. David Shaw says, Rich Eisen has said it. Dan Patrick has said it. Shaw says, I work outside. Do you work at all? I'm just curious. Like, you argue with me 24 hours a day. I'm just curious. Do you have time to work? I'm not saying you don't work, but I'm questioning if you work because you're always arguing with me. I'm just curious. 518-1410. We're going to go to the phones in a second as soon as Kev hops on here. If you're just tuning in, what I would love to see is the NFC and AFC championship games be switched to neutral sites. I would hate to see, for instance, we saw one hell of a game between the Chiefs and the Bills, by the way. One hell of a game between the Chiefs and the Bills. All right? It was cold, but it wasn't freezing. Cold is football weather. I get that. Freezing that's not normal weather for any sport. I don't care. I don't care that everyone's like, that's football weather. No, fall weather is football weather. It's kind of, gets down into the 50s, maybe into the 40s, cool breeze, there's some rain, dreary, cloudy. You know what I mean? That's football weather. I've never, who the hell says that -10, that's football weather? That's stupid. Who says -10 is football weather? Oh, then you're stupid, Kev. Sorry.
Me.
I had to think. Once I said, whoever said that is stupid.
I love it. I love when they take their helmet off and the steam's coming from their head and everything like that.
Do they? I'm sure you do. You sit in your warm ass living room.
Absolutely. Drinking a cold one. Wrapped in a blanket.
Nick Bosa, by the way. Nick Bosa this past weekend at Lambeau. Mm-hmm. He was just in shorts and a t-shirt, shorts and a cutoff, and he was out warming up.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Psychopaths.
Florida boy came to Ohio to play for the Buckeyes, got acclimated to the weather. And I mean, come on. Let's be real, man. Obviously, the game didn't go the way we wanted it to. That game versus that team up north. But that looked awesome on TV. Playing football in the snow. I used to love playing football in the snow. Like, that was like the thing. Like, when it snowed, like, what time are we playing football? Because it's go time, baby. Tackle on the sideline. It's everything, man. I love playing football and watching football in the elements. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. 518-1410. Who we got, Kevin?
We got Robert on line 3.
What up, Robert? How are you?
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good.
Good. I have no one on my side, so I'm already bracing for it.
Y'all
I'm
know the
bracing for it
hashtag.
like a cold, you know?
I think the NFL's got more things to worry about, like changing their overtime rules. I think they should stick with doing something like that.
Well, hey, if you play in negative 10 degree weather, I hope we don't get the ball back. Let's just get this stuff over with so I can get inside where it's warm.
Right. Guys, I was at a game. Bengals were playing the Detroit Lions. At that time, it was the second coldest game in football history. The coldest that day was up in Cleveland. It's not enjoyable. Okay, so I mean, if a dome is possible, I say do it.
Oh, good for you, Robert.
It's not enjoyable, man. I mean, it is so cold. I mean, the Bengals won. I think it was 21-16, and boy, I wish I was at home watching the game.
And that's the thing, too, from a fan perspective. And by the way, the cold doesn't keep fans away. There wasn't empty stadiums throughout the play, especially in Green Bay, in Nashville. There was, everyone was, bundled up and stuff. But I'm telling you, it's not an enjoyable experience for fans either. I know they're going to go. And that's and to be honest, if fans were complaining and the NFL's, said, hey, we need more people and asses in seats, they're getting hundreds and hundreds of dollars for individual tickets. So you know what? Obviously, it's not enough to deter fans from going. But, it's not, you're right. There's a lot of bigger things that the NFL should be worrying about than that. But at the end of the day, trust me, money is what talks to them. And money is why this will happen at some point, in my opinion. But, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it could be brutal out there. I mean, I'm a Bengals fan, and I've gone up to Cleveland at the old stadium. Oh, and it's so cold, and then you got to deal with the fans. So I say do a dome everywhere.
All right, Robert, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
518-1410. Hashtag Kinner was right.
You got one vote.
Nope, we're done with calls. We're done. Let's leave it at that. First call of the day, agreed with Kinner. How about that slightly? I
got a feeling Tom's going to agree with me.
By the way, it's not the end of the world. And then you got people like Keith Tolliver on Facebook. Sorry, Justin, but you're sounding real whiny right now. Oh, well, you're the one whining. All right. But anyways, you sound real whiny right now. I suppose if it's cloudy with the chance of rain, that's a no-go. Hashtag Kev is right. Well, that lasted a whole long time. Keith, I hate when people do this. I have faith that you guys are smart enough to comprehend what I'm talking about here. It's really not that freaking hard. Okay. Yeah. Because I said negative 10 degree weather outside that these guys are playing in, and you spin it to, it's cloudy with the chance of rain. Kinner says we should play indoors. You can have an opinion. Just don't be an idiot. Okay. Don't take what I say and then go drastically the other way. Like I said, hey, why would you want an Aaron Rodgers, a star player like that, playing in negative 10 degree weather at this time of year every year? You would think you'd want them playing in the biggest games of the year, the AFC Championship game, NFC Championship game, in warmer climate or indoors, to get a better product. To get, and again, just because a close ending happens doesn't mean it's an exciting game. That Packers-Niners game was not exciting. It was very ugly, and it was because of the weather. Okay, I don't think I'm that wrong or crazy here for thinking that game was ugly. Just because it was a exciting finish doesn't mean it was an exciting game. Like the Chiefs and Bills, that was an exciting game. It was two heavyweights. It was two stars. It was two great teams just going punch for punch because they were able to play their style of football. If you put the Bills and you put the Chiefs in negative 10 degree weather, okay, let's see what kind of shootout we have there. That's all. That's all. And again, it's not the end of the world, but don't take what I say and be dramatic with it. I'm saying no, I hate that, you're going to run into a lot of games like what we saw this past weekend with those frigid temps. I would hate to see an NFC or AFC title game impacted by that type of thing. That's all. I don't get why people have to get that angry with me for having this take on it. I mean, to be that Kinner says if it's cloudy with a chance of rain that we need to move the game. Go away. Go away. In fact, get an umbrella and go stand outside in the lightning storm. How about that? Yeah, you come at me like that. I'm just saying. 518-1410. Kev, who's up?
Tom on line 4.
Tom on 4. Tom, do not hold an umbrella out in a lightning storm. Tom's out in the lightning storm holding an umbrella. Tom, call back. 518-1410. Who's up?
CJ, line 3.
CJ, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and I think they need to have snow when it plays.
It needs to be snow. Extra snow. In fact, if there's no snow and it's not -10, we don't play, right?
I'm not saying the -10 thing, but I mean, that's one of the advantages of being in. Why Green Bay didn't use that to their advantage, I don't understand, but that's the advantage of having those games in the middle of winter, bringing a dome team that goes to those stadiums. I mean, Stafford, what was the stat was, I think a couple weeks ago that they said Stafford hadn't won, or it was the guy that played with the Bengals against the Bengals with the Carr. Carr hadn't won a game when it was under 30 degrees ever. There's reasons for it. He always plays in the warmth. You got to have the running game. Cleveland establishes that. I mean, it was well known for winning when it's bad weather out. I think that you have to take the weather into its account.
But I mean, okay, and that's fine. I just say too, like, even if you have teams that are used to playing in the cold, it doesn't mean that you always play well in the cold. Being able to handle playing in the cold, I mean, it still impacts your play. It doesn't matter if you're comfortable being outside in that temperature because you're used to it. If it still impacts how you throw a ball and catch a ball and tackle and get tackled and that type of thing. Like, I still think that, again, this isn't from a can players handle it or not. It's just the NFL saying, hey, we had Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and we saw they're a great product all year, and we get to the biggest stage of the year as a 1 seed, and they get their finally get their playoff game, and then look, the weather just totally makes it just an unwatchable game. An exciting finish, not an exciting game though.
It was a watchable game. I mean, I thought that I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed watching it, and shame on Aaron Rodgers. I agree with Kevin. He should have made those passes. He should have checked off. He doesn't need to throw into double coverage. He needed to eat a little bit more clock up. I mean, it was bad management on the time, too. If you look at it, I mean, it's not just the fact that they blew an interception there, towards the end of the game. That was what ended up happening. But, I mean, they could have controlled and managed the clock better to where they drove right down the field in the first drive. Why didn't they continue that? I mean, he was not just throwing it to Dante.
Oh, I know, but let's say they had done those short little 5-yard, short little checkdowns or whatever. That's still not exciting football compared to what you usually get from a Green Bay is all. But I definitely agree with you from that perspective.
Well, I definitely think that having the weather, it makes it fun. I mean, I still remember when was it Buffalo that they had the tractor come out to kick field goal when it was snowing out. You had the New England game that the tuck rule happened when you had like a blizzard condition happen. And in all honesty, you just mentioned the Kansas City game. It was blizzard conditions out there at the beginning of the game, and they still played well.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, you're on. Have a good day.
Oh, CJ just went legend.
No.
CJ just went legend.
CJ's the kind of fan that I want really crappy football because I want to watch him play in the snow. I don't want to watch good quarter. What made that? By the way, let's be clear. What made that Chiefs-Bills game so exciting? Was it I don't know, maybe the big plays in the air, the quarterback's ability to, throw a football more than 10 yards down the field. Pretty damn exciting to me. Who says, man, that Bills-Chiefs game was good, but I would have really preferred to watch Patrick Mahomes do a couple of little checkdowns. I would love more checkdowns. Hashtag checkdown. No one roots for that, but people are rooting for cold weather so we can have checkdown games. Unbelievable. 518-1410. Gosh, man, I really hope that there's no air it out type games this weekend. I hope Joe Burrow just dumps it off to Joe Mixon, just a couple yards out. I want a real boring, non-exciting style of play this weekend. That's what I want. 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with the Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HR-V, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
CJ. Oh, you're wrong. I'm never wrong. We may have a whole segment coming up here in a few minutes dedicated to Kinner being wrong, but I'm never wrong. So somehow an innocent conversation about, I just thought it would be like, I thought this would be just a throw out topic. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see host sites for NFC, AFC title game. Then we'd move on. But now, you got weirdos like Keith Tolliver hearing my opinion saying, hey, I just think it hurts the product to put an Aaron Rodgers in -5, -10 degree weather and expecting to get the product that you got during the regular season. The product that you got during the regular season allowed them to be the number one seed. They're not playing in -10 degree weather back in August. That's this time of year. And, so you get to the biggest games a year and you practice, preseason, you practice all season, you play all season in these environments that are nothing like this. Then you get to the biggest game of the year that you play for all year, that you play for all season long, just to have nothing look or feel like what you have done the last 4 months. I don't think that's that crazy of a side to have here on that. And the other thing too, and I'm glad that this individual brought this up. Now I got to go back and find it, but they were wanting as a Bengals fan, this is Damon Hahn saying, as a Bengals fan, all I want is an indoor practice facility. Games can be played wherever. Why do you need a practice facility? Why do you need an indoor one? Why does every team in the NFL except the Bengals have an indoor practice facility? Why don't you bunch of pansies? Why don't you just play outside? Oh, cloudy and rainy? Well, we're going to go inside to our indoor practice. Well, why not? Why don't you just stay outside and practice in the rain? Oh, because it's kind of hard to truly simulate your offense, in the rain, in the cold, right? It's not that hard to figure out. I think every team, we talk about this all the time. Hey, if I'm Aaron Rodgers at his age, I go play somewhere where you could play in a dome, right? Said the same thing about Tom Brady. Hey, go play somewhere where it's warm. It's not that hard. We use this logic all the time in explaining a lot of things in the NFL. But then when it comes to this discussion, it's just stupid to consider the fact that negative 10-degree weather just isn't good for the NFL. That's all. It's just not. It's not. And if it was, why have indoor practice facilities? Everyone just practice outside. In fact, you know what? You mask mandates, you have to wear a mask outside, but I would have a jacket mandate, no jackets. You have to have a mask at practice, but no jackets. I don't care if it's negative 10. We're men. We play in the cold. We spit. We chew tobacco. We fix things. We play in the cold. David Shaw. 518-1410. I want the AFC NFC Championship game. No, the neutral sites. Warmer parts of the country. Indoors. That's all. Not that hard. I want to watch Aaron Rodgers at his best. I don't want to watch him throw for 220 whatever yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Boring ass game, exciting finish. Well, someone has to win. So in a bad game, there's always going to be an exciting finish. Technically, it comes down to a field goal. It sounds exciting. The game wasn't exciting. This is what it is. 518-1410. Kev, who's up?
Real quick. Last year's NFC Championship game was 31-26. Obviously, Tampa Bay won. Mm-hmm. It was 29 degrees at kickoff. This past game, Packers 49ers was 22 degrees at kickoff. 7 degrees made that much of a difference in the outcome of the game.
It's not every year, but it's not every season that you run into this, but it's pretty damn common.
But I'm just saying, so 7 degrees determined that they only scored 10 points. I just think it was the play of the quarterback. I think it was the play of the offense.
You're right. The quarterback that's played MVP every single effing week, all of a sudden, just played bad. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens. That happens. It happened week 1.
Justin Cox on YouTube says, dude is wrong. Move on. Oh, stop acting like your last name. TJ Brusher says, indoors so no one can steal plays. Thanks, Patriots. Aye. Anyways, who's up?
We got AJ on line 3.
All right. AJ, how are you? I'm taking a beating today, and I can't tell if you're calling in to add to it.
I won't beat you up too much, but I disagree with you.
Well, screw you, AJ.
Two reasons.
Okay.
One, I think in a lot of pro sports, especially the NFL, that home field advantage is a factor that plays in more so than, I don't know, some of the other, some college or something like that. Because teams are fighting for that for the whole season. At the end, the teams were towards the end of the season were really fighting to make sure that they kept that home field advantage. And two, I think it would dilute the product for TV. To be honest with you, some of that emotion that when I was watching that Bills Chiefs game, I could almost feel the emotion coming out of Arrowhead Stadium. And I think when you get to more to sites where they're host sites, you're going to get a lot more corporate entities in there, and a lot of the tickets are going to be corporate tickets, not necessarily fans of those individual teams, and that just makes the product just not as exciting.
You know what? You disagreed with me, but see, you at least you call in, you bring up good points. You don't have a condescending tone like I do. So you know what? I can respect that. I could see it from that person. I don't know if it ruined the TV product or not. I think you're onto something, like to Kev's points where the Super Bowl, I guess you get the emotion from the team and the players, but you're saying the cool part is when they pan over to the fans, they get the fan reaction and everything, especially this year. Imagine if Cincinnati was hosting that game this week, watching Cincinnati's reaction when they won that wild card game. That was pretty damn cool seeing the reaction live and everything. So to that point, I agree with you on that. That would be something you'd miss out on.
Yeah, the Super Bowl is great and stuff, and it's a good TV product. But when it comes to like the energy that you get from the fans in the stadium, it's just not the same energy that you got from that Chiefs Bills game.
Fair enough. Hey, AJ, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
518-1410. Hashtag Kev is right.
It's all good. But another thing, though, the owners have to vote on these type of things. So if this was ever to come up, they would have to vote on it. So I would imagine it would have to be a whole bunch of money for them to be giving up these opportunities for their teams to be playing in it, because not only a backlash from their fan base who pays season tickets and everything like that, the personal seats, license and everything like that. When you're a season ticket holder, you get first dibs at playoff tickets. So if you're like the team of the era, like if you were like the Patriots, their reign of terror over the NFL, and you mean to tell me we're not going to be getting home AFC championship playoff games, then why do I have season tickets? Because that's the game I really want to go to. So you have that element. And then you have the backlash from the city, and not only the city, the mayor and local businesses. Like you think about the city of Green Bay, it's about the size of a nickel. And you talked about how much money like the citizens make off of parking on their own property and everything like that. That may not be a big thing, but that still is a thing that ownership will have to deal with, a backlash from the community itself saying, hey, man, like this is not only affecting us as a football team and as a fan base, us supporting our team, but you're affecting our bottom line as well. You're lining. I'm not saying that they would care. I'm just saying
they would get money.
No.
Those TV deals, like the network money deals, like they would get that money.
I'm talking about not the owners. The owners, they'll be perfectly fine. I'm talking about the actual people and the citizens that live in the town. Like, we talk about how like LeBron James, when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, how much impact he had on the community of Cleveland and all the restaurants and businesses downtown by the arena and everything like that. And he leaves, those restaurants close up shop and everything like that. Like they will have to deal with some type of backlash from teams as well to say, well, not teams, I'm sorry, from businesses in those cities and saying, hey, hold on, man, that's accounted for a lot of bucks and a lot of revenue for these businesses. Not only you have to deal with that from the businesses, but also the actual mayors and council people of those cities as well.
518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Kev, who we got?
We got Sean, line 4. Sean,
how are you, sir? Welcome.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. You guys are doing a great job. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Real quick, Kenner, I don't think you're wrong. I just think occasionally you're mistaken.
It's like it's not you, it's me. That's what that sounds like. But I'll take that.
No. Mistaken means that the nincompoop that's listening to you doesn't understand. That's all it means.
Oh, you mean Mr. Cox?
Yeah. What he said. Okay, here's my thing, real quick. I want to ask 2 questions. I want to hear your answer. You remember when I think it was one Manning's last games, he went up to New England. It was snowing so bad, they all they did was plowed the 10-yard lines, and everything in between they didn't care about. It was snowing so bad. That is football, baby. Second thing, do you think the Bengals can beat the Chiefs? And if so, tell me why. Have a good day.
All right. So to the second one, no. To the first one, when people say this, I'm just curious. I need to know, is there some kind of football fandom rule book? Where is it that it says that that's football weather? I'll wait.
Oh, you're asking me?
I'm just waiting for somebody to show me in the rule book what the ideal temperature is for what makes football weather. There's preferred weather. There's obviously temperatures that certain fans prefer, but this was about whether or not you could see the NFL going this direction at some point. And if I'm the NFL and my product is being impacted by it, that's all that matters.
Is the product really being
Mr.
impacted?
Cox, if Mr. Cox prefers cold weather, then he can go and, enjoy his shrinkage out in the cold. And the NFL can get a better product on the field instead of watching Aaron Rodgers throw for 220 yards because it's negative 10 degrees outside. That's all.
I'm not sure that the NFL, the product was really affected, but I'm not sure they even really
watch
care.
that Packers game and say it wasn't affected. How was that not affected by it?
He ain't take the check down, man, because dude is wide open.
No one cares about check downs.
But I'm just saying,
I don't want to watch check down.
Hey, but that's part of quarterbacking. You can't hit 50-yard bombs every time. Sometimes you do have to take the check down. And there were several times on third down where he refused to take the check down. And if he takes the check down, you continue to drive, and that continuing to drive potentially could lead you to more points and more exciting football and everything like that. He just refused to do it for whatever situation. The NFL standpoint would be the money. That's why they would do it, because I mean, that's what the NFL is about. The NFL is about the money, and they wouldn't necessarily care about the fans' experience because most fans are watching the games at home. You know what I'm saying? Our experience wouldn't change that much. Yes, it looks cool on TV to see all the fans and the home crowd and everything like that. But to your point, yeah, it's on the table. When it's the NFL, everything's always on the table. Because never in a million years would I thought that the NFL Combine would become a fan event. But it is now. So for people that say, oh, this will never happen, sorry to tell you, that's on the table.
The Combine outside in February.
They should.
Combine in February outside. No more pampering these little millennials in the dome over there in Indianapolis.
And that'll get your true 40.
Yeah. And then, and I would have big ass industrial fans facing the field outside, 15-degree weather. These fans just blowing on the players. I want them cold. I want them freezing. When they start sweating, I want to see the ice start just, freezing down their foreheads and everything because it's that cold. That's how men play. That's how Mr. Justin Cox on YouTube. That's how that man he's the manliest man ever. Justin Cox, man. Gosh, good for him. Good for him. He says, how does this hack have a radio show? All because I, want NFC, AFC title games to have a neutral site. I'm a hack. So, whatever. Sorry. I'll just change my opinion so that way you don't have to call me a hack, or you could just, change the channel. I don't know what you want me to say. Sorry. But, Mr. Cox. 518-1410. Who's up?
Man, you got Ryan on line 3.
What up, Ryan? The last Ryan agreed with me. How's this Ryan going to react?
About 50-50.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
He said close enough.
Yeah. You're allowed to disagree with me. I act like a child. It's okay. Just be a bigger child and call me names and we're good.
Yeah, I won't call you any names.
Off here.
But, I kind of agree. I think, if you're in a game like the Green Bay game this past weekend, as a fan, I'd be miserable. That's just too damn cold. But what about these? I've always thought, domes and, your Minnesotas, Green Bays, even Cincinnati. But what about retractable domes? So the team could actually decide whether to use the weather to their advantage, depending on what team they're playing. So like with San Francisco and Green Bay, they would have put the retractable roof up because you don't want to play smash mouth ball with, San Francisco in the elements. And then you could, put the roof on and then just let them air it out, where that's going to favor Green Bay. I think it would add like kind of an interesting wrinkle if all these cold market winter teams had a retractable roof and they could, play that card when it gets to the playoffs, whether they're going to, open the roof or close it.
So you're saying, I've talked about this in baseball too. Baseball fascinates me because it's the only sport, like in football, all football field dimensions are the same. Basketball, the NBA, college basketball, the courts are the same. Baseball is the only sport where there is no, not every field is the same dimension. It's the same size. There's not a standard, there's not a standard ballpark in baseball to where you have regulations as far as the NFL and the NBA is concerned. But to your point, do you go that extra step? Hey, when you're building new NFL stadiums, maybe requiring a dome, a retractable roof to be a part of it. Look, who knows? But we can't even get the team an hour from here to get an indoor practice facility, much less that. So we'll see.
Yeah, no kidding.
But no. So my point is these stadiums are obviously incorporating those retractable roofs in there because of that very reason. So it's not like it's not thought about. If these teams truly felt that, hey, the weather doesn't impact us, then why even fight so hard to have a retractable roof? That's all I'm trying to say. Now, it's also done for entertainment purposes for concerts and stuff. I get that as well, but,
Like in Arizona, they're doing it. When it gets hotter than hell, they want to close the roof. And so same thing, over here in the winter, it gets freezing, close the roof or, to your advantage if you're, playing a team that's more finesse and you've got a smash mouth team, then, keep it open and and play some smash mouth ball.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the call.
All right, thanks.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz is going to join us coming up here in just a moment. Tyler Curry on YouTube says, why watch or listen to something if you're going to complain about it? At this point, you're just talking to yourself. It's funny that you say that. Why watch or listen to something if you're going to complain about it, coming from the guy that's watching and listening to this show complaining about it? Look, go away. Follow your own advice, bro.
Are you sure he's talking about us?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, crap. Maybe not. Sorry, Tyler. Stay here if you're not. Yeah, I don't know. My bad, Tyler. I overreacted. Shocker. Tell me if you've heard that one before. Poor Tyler. I just went off on Tyler. He was defending the show. It was that Justin Cox guy stirring the pot. Something about guys named Justin.
That's why I'm here, folks.
We're the word. Yeah. See, Tyler says, love the show. Damn it, don't go anywhere. I need you to stay, Tyler.
Yeah, I immediately didn't think that he was talking about us.
Yeah, Waylon says, Justin, you never overreact. I overreacted. It is what it is. That backfired. That was bad. Dickie, how are you? Did he hang up again?
That's twice, Dickie.
Oh, well. I thought Tyler was talking about me talking about the playoff games not being good. So that's what I thought. I'm just explaining myself. But, it is what it is. Anyways, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Hashtag Kinner was wrong. Not about this. I was right about this. I embarrassed all of you. I feel bad for all of you guys. You guys have to. I hope you can make it through the rest of your day. You're going to go home from work and your wife could be like, oh, honey, what's wrong? Oh, Kinner just embarrassed me today because he's so much smarter than me. Shayla's going to be like, Kev, you seem down. Do you have a bad day at work? And he's going to be like, every time I try to prepare to be smarter than Kinner, he outwits me. And she'll be like, oh, Kev, one of these days.
She listens to the show, too.
What up, Shayla? How are you?
She'll be like,
I'll take it easy on Kev the rest of the show. I don't want him in a bad mood when he goes home. How about that? Because then, she's always right in arguments, so you're not going to defeat her in a debate.
That is
true.
true.
You don't win debates with me. No wonder you're always happier during the day until 3 o'clock. And then it's like from 3 until when you go to sleep around 10, I'm assuming.
Let's be clear. The only time I do get debates right is when I come to work.
What? Hashtag Kev was right, I guess. All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz coming up. So Kev Nash, because I always say I never get anything wrong, but Kev's a jerk. He went back and he compiled about, hours of clips of me just being dead wrong about your Cincinnati Bengals. And compressed it down to 2 minutes. And we can make quite a few of these, actually. I'm a little annoyed. Kev was so proud of himself for this earlier today.
Petty.
So when we come back, hashtag Kinner was wrong. You're going to get a chance to listen to some live examples of Kinner just being dead wrong about your Cincinnati Bengals. So 518-1410, that's the number to call in. We'll have hashtag Kinner was wrong on the other side. We'll also be joined by ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. That's all coming up. Justin Cox still just chiming in. That's fine. You just stay logged in and watching, buddy. I don't need you to like me. I just need you to keep watching, by the way. Doug Toby says, late to the show, Kansas City is going to be a high of 42, low at 36. That sounds like perfect football weather. I agree. That's perfect football weather. I agree.
I'll go to that game.
Now, I think it's perfect football weather. Again, nobody has showed me the rule of what is ideal football weather. It's just a bunch of opinions. So technically,
any weather,
nobody,
is good football weather.
Nobody is right or wrong technically. But when you come at me and tell me I'm wrong, that pisses me off because I'm like, it doesn't mean that you're right. These are opinions, not facts. -10 is cold though. That's a fact, Jack. Aaron Rodgers sucked and he doesn't suck, and he sucked because of the cold, Jack. Just saying. It's okay. Just keep listening to the show. And your sports IQ will just shoot through the roof. All your coworkers will be so impressed. Man, how did this guy get so smart when it comes to talking sport? Oh, he must listen to that Kinner dude in Dayton.
Dayton.
I bet at Christmas, your family was like, Kevin, you're getting so much smarter sports-wise. Well, what's different? Oh, this guy at work, his knowledge, is just an open book. Just like an open mouth, basically. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. That's you, Sean.
It's It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and cold, a high near 26. Tonight's going to be mainly clear and cold, a low near 5. And tomorrow will be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 22. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Get ultra strong for your South Pole. Charmin keeps your undies wetter than the North Pole. A shiny hiney, a brand new year. Call it a Charmin. Happy New Year. May your holidays be Charmin, clean, merry, and bright. May all your undies be Charmin, clean, white.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. Tax season is here. We invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. Our professional staff assures your return is accurate with maximum use of legitimate deductions. Since our founding, we have been trusted because of our knowledge of the tax code and for standing behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Skyways are back at Skyline for a very limited time. Now through February 6th, order a Skyway and get 50% extra cheese at no extra charge on regular and large ways. At participating Skylines only. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Calling all coffee lovers. Hold on to your mugs because Panera's Unlimited Sip Club is offering the unreal deal of unlimited coffee for only $8.99 a month. Don't worry, you're not dreaming because when we say unlimited, we mean unlimited. Unlimited boosts all day long. Unlimited smells of your favorite aroma. Unlimited sips of premium hot and iced coffees. Sign up on our app today to get your first month free. Panera, the familiar made fantastic. Plus tax, first free month, limited time offer. Restrictions apply. For complete details, visit www.panerabread.com/unlimitedSipClub.
Now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. New COVID strands are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
When you fill your prescriptions at Walgreens, you can track the progress of your order in real time. Know the price of your prescriptions before you go to pick them up. And anytime you have questions, use Pharmacy Chat to ask an expert 24 hours a day. Help with your meds from Walgreens. Side effects may include breathing a little easier because your prescription stress melted away. Learn more on the Walgreens app.
This price isn't final. This is an estimated price based on your insurance coverage.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
If this Bengals playoff run could just hurry up and get over with, I'd really appreciate it.
We need content for the show.
Hey, they've always provided content for the show. Me just talking about how, bad they are. The problem is I was right for a long, long time, and then I've had to eat crow a lot. It's been the worst month of my professional career. And I think I just offended people because I referred to myself as a professional, and I'm not. So I've been wrong a lot when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, and Kev has taken enjoyment in watching me just eat crow for the last however many weeks. I mean, really, it started when the Bengals beat the Chiefs the last time to clinch the division. So before we get to our guest, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, I want to get to hashtag Kinner was wrong. Kev Nash went back and compiled a lot of clips of Kinner just being dead wrong about, yes, of course, your Cincinnati Bengals. Even when I am nice about your Bengals, I still get my inboxes flooded with you guys still crying because, hey, I questioned Joe Burrow not throwing a touchdown for 6 straight quarters. I'm sorry. We weren't drooling over Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes because of, them just standing there and throwing the ball between the 20s. No, we were drooling over them because they threw the ball in the end zone. That's all. That's the only shot I can get in because everything else they're winning. So here's Kev Nash, worked his ass off. Before we get to ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, here we go. Hashtag Kinner was wrong, directed by Kev Nash.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong. You're wrong. No, you're wrong.
It's time for hashtag Kinner was wrong.
They will lose to Green Bay. They will win at Detroit. They will lose both their matchups with Baltimore. They will lose both their matchups with Cleveland. They will lose both their matchups with Pittsburgh. I have the Bengals going winless in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals have spent $250 million over the last 2 off seasons. You would think if you spend that much money, that's good enough to get you to maybe, I don't know, at least second in your division. They've spent all that money, and they're going to be last in the AFC North. That defense that they put all that money into this offseason, they're the 4th best defense in their own division.
Again? Wrong? Again?
His schedule is absolutely brutal, and just to set the tone, I do not have them finishing with only 3 wins, but it would not surprise me, and I think it says more about how tough the schedule is versus how bad the Bengals are, although I think it's going to be a balance of both. I don't think that this Bengals team is as good as what Bengals fans are hoping, but I'm just a hater. What do I know?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
What is wrong with them? With the Cincinnati Bengals. Did they ever say the Browns being the Browns? That's the Bengals being the Bengals.
Ouch. Wrong again.
Wrong. You're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because
they will get a division win. It'll be against the Steelers or the Ravens. It will not be against the Cleveland Browns. Unless my 13-win Cleveland Browns team in week 17 is resting players and they basically hand the game to the Bengals, but that doesn't count as far as I'm concerned.
This can't be life. You are wrong again.
I keep seeing people in this comment section. Yeah, but Chase, they need Chase. He's going to be great. No. You want Chase. You don't need Chase. Because if you draft Chase with this offensive line, you don't have a quarterback to throw it to him. I mean, Brandon Allen, he's really going to appreciate you drafting a receiver for him to throw to the last half of the season. But you don't need a receiver.
Bruh, come on, Kinner.
Hashtag Kinner was wrong.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
Happy?
Hoo-wee!
Happy with yourself? Not bad. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us now. Jason, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm better now that I've heard that, because I know I'm wrong all the time. Sarah Spain just usually reminds me live on air. So now you've lived through that embarrassment. But you know what? At the end of the day, just know that unless the season ends with the Super Bowl, you'll still be able to hold your head high. I mean, that's the one thing. Only one team genuinely ends the season happy. So that's the only hope you've got left.
To ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz with us here. Let's look back at last weekend's divisional round of the playoffs. Easily, arguably, I mean, I'm 32 years old, and I think that was the best weekend of NFL playoffs that I've ever watched. Every single game coming down to the wire, every single game ending with a game-winning play, whether it be a field goal or touchdown or what have you, overtime. I mean, can you think of another season where you had a weekend of playoff football like this one?
No, it was the best weekend of playoff football we've ever seen. I think it was the best weekend of football I've ever seen in my life. And it was a true testament to the NFL and its greatness when things are great, because there is nothing that captures the attention of the entire country like wild playoff football. And it was a reminder of how strong the NFL can be when the games are great. Because it was only a week ago we were sitting here saying, those wild card weekend games maybe didn't live up to the hype. Is the next weekend going to be failed? It was not. Like what you saw were teams hitting at a different level and just teams sitting there saying, hey, we belong here, and playing these back and forth games that were just an absolute teeter-totter of emotion. I mean, it was the biggest win the NFL could have imagined.
You know, you look at the Rams in the Tampa Bay game, a guy that I've had question marks for a long time. I've called him the least criticized number one overall pick of all time, Matthew Stafford. They gained a 27-3 lead, and then Tampa comes storming back off of turnovers. The defense forced Cam Akers to fumble twice. They forced Cooper Kupp to fumble in their own end zone, and they end up tying the ball game up. But Matthew Stafford comes up clutch when his team needed him the most. What can this playoff run do for Matthew Stafford going forward in his whole legacy? And, you know, I follow Matthew Stafford coming out of high school. He was the number one quarterback coming out of high school from Texas to go to Georgia. Never played in any big games at Georgia. This is his first chance making a deep playoff run with this team. What can this do for Matthew Stafford going forward?
It changes everything, because now it's definitive that it was the Lions, right? So that's what happens, because so much of this is, and this is what we got to remember about every quarterback. There are very few quarterbacks that can rise above their situation if their situation is a certain level of dog dookie, there's only a few quarterbacks that can do that. And Matt Stafford tried and went to the playoffs with the Lions, for the love of God. But we look at the Lions and say, oh, what a dumpster fire. It's all their fault. But when you see Matt Stafford struggle a little bit and you look at the Rams only beating up on bad teams, it's easy to say, see, he was part of the problem. Then he gets hot at the right time. And frankly, it was the play call. It was Sean McVay, wonder child, that I think deserves a lot of the blame for letting the Bucs get back in that game. They got conservative stupid early to me. They got away from what was working. I didn't understand that at all. They changed who they were. None of that made sense. And I'm looking at Stafford saying, my God, McVay's going to waste this opportunity to change the narrative. That's what happens in that win. And, if you're Matt Stafford now, though, I think the pressure ticks up, because you're taking on a San Francisco team in the NFC Championship game that up and down. Look at the whole roster. The Rams are a better football team, and Stafford's a better quarterback than Jimmy G. If he doesn't go to the Super Bowl, I think the whispers come back about Stafford. But at least for 1 week, it changed any concept of finding reason to doubt Stafford, and it puts all the blame squarely on the Lions. So I feel bad for Detroit fans.
Jason, when Antonio Brown had that blow up on the sideline for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, throwing his jersey and taking his pads off, throwing his jersey in the stands and walking off, based on his history, we just chalked it up to, well, it was only a matter of time. No one was looking at the Bucs and saying, oh man, look, they've lost control. But that was, for a Tom Brady-led team, that was probably one of the more undisciplined, chaotic Tom Brady-type games that I've seen, not just from him, but from a Tom Brady-led team in general. They just did not play disciplined football. There were outbursts on the field. They just were making a lot of mistakes. And, you add all that up and you look over the last couple of weeks, starting with that Antonio Brown saga. Obviously, it's hard to repeat, things that you're fighting for last year. It's a lot different when you're trying to defend it versus, fighting for it. I mean, I'm surprised more people have not been critical of Bruce Arians and the lack of discipline and control that he's had of this team this year.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you know, we've talked before about benefit of the doubt and what it does for certain coaches. Bruce Arians has so much benefit of the doubt because he's a likable dude that usually has likable press conferences, because he's honest with most of the media, because he's built a staff that's incredible in its diversity in gender and race, because he gives anybody the opportunity to come in and say, hey, we are going to make sure that we can win football games. We've given a lot of benefit of the doubt to Bruce Arians for a lot of years that he's earned. I don't know why we can't still do that, couch it over here, and then say, hey, by the way, he lost control of this team this year. You're right. It was not a cohesive Bucs team throughout the course of most of the season. Now, last year, they didn't look dominant, but they got hot at the right time, so everybody forgave it. Now, they didn't look dominant. Things couldn't come together. The injury bug, the lack of cohesiveness. I mean, I think a lot of this has to lay straight at the feet of Bruce Arians. And I also think for Tom Brady, even having to come back, it feels like I'll use my 80s wrestling fandom here like I always like to do. Like, if you remember the Hulk, like there'd be the moment where they'd put his arm up in the sleeper and it'd go down to the mat once, down to the mat twice. And before the third one, right before it hits the ground, he starts shaking, crowd goes nuts. That's what we're used to seeing Tom Brady do. Well, Hulk's arm went nuts, and he brought his arm all the way up and was ready for a comeback, and then he got his butt kicked. And so, like, I think that there's a sort of a moment here, even for Brady, who feels superhuman so often. It's the first time we've seen true humanity. Like, the rest of the NFL can look at it and say, Brady's human too. Like, I think that's a much different approach now, because he did try to rise up, did almost get the comeback done, and then didn't seal the deal. That's a much different concept around Brady too. I think both of them are going to be viewed differently.
Transitioning over to the Cincinnati Bengals win over the Titans over the weekend. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill was god-awful, but another part of that was the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals was god-awful. Can the Cincinnati Bengals fix something on their offensive line to be able to protect Joe Burrow? Because obviously it's going to be a shootout if they're going to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I don't think they can. Now, first and foremost, let me say this. I lived in Nashville for 20 years. Titans fans are obnoxious, man. Like, they are just, like, they're quiet until their team's good, and then they come out and they're like, oh, my God, give us more street cred. And it's like, you couldn't fill your own stadium because you didn't give a damn for years, and now you're yelling about ESPN not giving you enough love. And I love Nashville, 20 years there. So thank you, Bengals fans, because Titans fans were all up in this is our year, and we're going to make everybody else regret not giving us the respect we deserve. So thank you. But that being said, I mean, let's look at a couple of things here. Number one, they faced two straight defensive lines to get after the quarterback in alarming numbers. And fact is, there were more pressures against the Raiders than there were against the Titans, but the Titans got home more. Why? Because the Titans are a better overall offensive or defensive line, I should say, than the Raiders are. The Raiders got great edge rushers. The Titans can get to you from all four, and they did that throughout the course of the game. I've never seen a quarterback take hits like Burrow hit. There were a couple of times I was cringing because I thought for sure he was injuring a leg the way they were coming at him. I cannot believe he took that level of hit. Now, the Chiefs' defensive line is not as strong as the Raiders or the Titans. So the Chiefs' defensive line, while they have their moments, is not going to be able to do the same thing to some level because they're just not as talented left to right. That being said, the offensive line for the Bengals isn't going to fix anything. So this is that weird moment where all the guys that I work with every single day that sit on TV and say, football's won in the trenches. Man, the Bengals are like, hold my beer. No, it's not. Won by having by far the most dynamic wide receiver on the field and a quarterback that doesn't give a damn what you throw at him. He can handle it. Like, football's not won in the trenches if you're the Bengals. They'll beat you ugly, and that's exactly what they've done 2 straight weeks. I think this is the most interesting AFC Championship game we've seen in a long time because there have been fatal flaws to both of these teams at different times during the season, but they are both so hot right now. And I don't know how you count either of them out. Both of them had sort of miraculous endings. Like Tannehill throwing that stupid interception, at the end of the game, I don't know what the hell he's thinking. And I'm looking at the Bengals saying, my God, and I believe this. It is better to be lucky than good. And when you're lucky, you better be good to back it up. But my God, both these teams, the Chiefs and the Bengals, were lucky and good in their matchups.
You know, and it's Also interesting to me because you talked about the cursed Cincinnati Bengals, 31 straight years without a playoff win. Obviously, a handful of playoff appearances within that stretch. But, they found when they did make the playoffs, outside of a few just bad playoff performances in general, but there's quite a few games where they played well enough to win and should have won. And it seemed they were cursed. I mean, there was just no way that, the Bengalized, they were Bengalized. They just could not find a way to win in the playoffs. They went from finding ways to lose to now finding ways to win. I mean, after having what felt like a ginormous lead over the Raiders in the first half, only a one possession lead, that was what it actually was. It just felt bigger than it was. Only 6 points in the second half. They still were able to hold off the Raiders' comeback attempt and get the interception over Derek Carr towards the end. The Titans, Joe Burrow doesn't throw a passing touchdown the entire game for 6 straight quarters. Now, they sacked 9 times. There's so many reasons why this team should not be a game away from the Super Bowl, but yet here they are. Signs of a good team. Used to be a team that found a way to lose. Now they're finding ways to win. You're right. This is the more interesting of the two matchups just because this Chiefs team, they've been up and down all season. How do we invest our stock into this Chiefs team? The Bengals are such a fun story right now. This matchup right now is going to be fun, and it's all a lot to do with obviously Joe Burrow and the Bengals finding ways to win for once.
Well, and there's a youthful ignorance, and I mean it in a really respectful way, to the way the Bengals play right now. Like you mentioned all of the history of the Bengals, and Burrow's made it very clear. He doesn't give a damn, right? He doesn't care about any of that. Like the players don't feel that history, the fans do. And then you start thinking about the way they've attacked every single week. Like I genuinely feel like you can feel pressure from certain teams. And I would argue all day long that the Chiefs, going into their 4th straight AFC championship game at home in a year after they lost the Super Bowl in embarrassing fashion, there's pressure there for Kansas City. I believe that. There isn't for Cincinnati. And Burrow plays like all of them, frankly, play with the level of looseness this comes from being a relatively young team at many positions that's looking around, having a blast playing and saying, why not us? Like the longer you get into any sort of a field, but particularly in sports, the longer you play in the game, why not us? Like there's a whole locker room full of cynical people that are like, I can tell you why not us. It's never us, right? But when you're young in the league and you're having that success, I mean, why not us is real, and it's catapulting this team with a level of swagger. I don't remember the last team that we saw that played with this level of joy and swagger and careless energy, this free energy as they play on the field. That's just, it's amazing to watch. And we watched a Titans team that was tight from the minute they came out, that just the number 1 overall seed that looked like they believed they didn't belong, against the Bengals team that was like, all right, we give up a big play, no worries, we'll be back on the next one. And that level of just freedom in the way they play, I don't know how you stop that. Like if they lose a game, it's going to be because they, like everybody else, they make mistakes. But I don't believe they're going to make mistakes because the moment's too big. The Bengals have proven that there is no moment too big for them.
Watching that Buffalo-Kansas City game on Sunday night, describe it. Describe how you were watching that game. I got no question. I just like hearing people's reaction to watching that game, because the conversations I was having with Kenner, the conversations I was having with my brother, the conversations I was having with people on Twitter, and I rarely reply to people on Twitter, but that game was so captivating. It had the whole world locked in. What was your experience watching the game?
I was jumping up and down and yelling in my house like it was a Raiders game. And I don't have any love for either team. Like when you tell me, like, we're talking about Kansas City, we all know that I'm not going to be a Kansas City fan. You start talking about Buffalo, all I remember is a 51-3 AFC championship butt whooping like that. Like I got no love for either team. And I was yelling at my TV because it was the most explosive game I ever remember seeing once it got into that last 6 minutes. And the fact that we were sitting here with 13 seconds left, I actually found, for the first time in my life, I was actually rooting for Kansas City for that moment, because I was like, I want to see this happen. This is the game you tell your grandchildren about. Like, there's a whole era of NFL fans that you'll ask, hey, what's the most incredible game you've ever seen? And they'll tell you it was the Oilers back in the Oilers comeback days, the Oilers taking on the Bills, right? Bills massive comeback, Oilers collapse. Like, I think there's a whole generation that thinks of that game as the improbable ending. I was watching this saying, how do you even explain to somebody that 13 seconds is enough time to get something done? It's not for my favorite team, but it is for this game. Like, that was stunning to watch. And I was, one of the things about streaming is that I'm always I'm always about a minute and a half behind. Like Hulu always has me about a minute and a half behind. I got this group thread with a bunch of my buddies in radio, Michael Jr. and all these guys, and they're all saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." So I finally had to put my phone away because I was right behind him. So I was like, I don't need the phone to tell me what's going to happen. And I was in my house screaming at the television by myself like I had a rooting interest. I'll never forget that game. It was everything that's beautiful and amazing. It's why I love doing what I do. It was the perfection of what sports can be. It just encapsulated in a moment.
Green Bay 49ers. Obviously, Green Bay falls. Aaron Rodgers plays blah, and so many special team meltdowns, from the blocked field goal before the half to the block punt that gets returned for a TD to only having 10 people on the field for the game-winning field goal. Where does Green Bay go from here, and can the 49ers actually pull off the upset and make it to the Super Bowl?
I think the 49ers are outmatched against the Rams, but then again, I thought the 49ers were going to be outmatched at Lambeau, right? Like Jimmy G is that confusing quarterback that always does enough to get it done, right? And then he's going to make a couple of throws during the middle of the game that says, why do you have Jimmy G in? And I thought there was tremendous patience by the 49ers coaching staff in a day where the offense wasn't getting anything done. The offense wasn't putting them in terrible situations. And I thought it said something that they didn't put Trey Lance in to try and find different, interesting ways to run the football in that cold. They don't trust him yet. And I think that turned out to be a smart move by the coaching staff because they didn't want to put themselves in any situation to make mistakes. What stunned me about the game was the body language and energy throughout the entire thing from Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a different, and I think there's an authenticity to most quarterbacks. Like, Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and the way he plays is very similar to who he is in the podium. You guys know this, Burrow. Like, Burrow is who he is. We've talked about Baker so much. He is who he is. Like, Derek Carr, like, you can feel the energy of certain guys, and it translates on the field. This was the first time I've ever watched Aaron Rodgers and thought, where's the urgency? And I mean, throughout the course of the whole game, it just felt like the Aaron Rodgers that we see on interviews that's very, wise and thinking and methodical. That was more of his approach, and it lacked the urgency I think you need in a playoff game. I was surprised by his body language, by his tempo, by his pace. I was surprised by the Packers' inability to sort of get anything going in elements that they should be used to. I was surprised that they didn't try anything different. It's just like I was watching a team hit their head against a wall and they had no plan for how to get out of it. And it's interesting to me because now we got to figure out what's next for Rodgers. But I'm also looking squarely at Matt LaFleur that everybody's in love with, and they're telling me his win-loss record consistently. And I'm saying, hey, what's Matt going to do when he doesn't have a Hall of Famer at quarterback? I don't think we have any idea how good a coach he is or isn't because we haven't seen anything other than get Aaron the ball and hope he makes plays. And that didn't work in this game.
Yeah, if Matt LaFleur needs an example of what a coach looks like without a Hall of Fame quarterback, there's a reason that Sean Payton stepped away today. It's kind of funny. Your job's not as comfortable when you have Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill at quarterback when you were used to having Drew Brees for your entire run. But send us out with this, Jason. It's funny, the top two MVP candidates, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, both mulling, their futures. A lot of people questioning whether they will play again next year. I can't think of a time ever where you had two quarterbacks at this level, at this age, mulling retirement that are both in line to win an MVP. Very odd situation at that, especially with all the attention that all these young quarterbacks are getting, to have those two still playing at the level in which they are. Are you surprised that the direction switched to Tom Brady potentially talking about retirement?
Yeah, I am, and I think it speaks to what we saw over the weekend, which is a massive shift in the power structure of the NFL for the next decade. Because if Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady do step away, you lose two of the better quarterbacks in the league, but also two of the biggest brands. And I'm thinking about a weekend where I watched Joe Burrow and I watched, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I watched those guys in the AFC that are all in their early and mid-20s. I genuinely wonder how many other teams in the AFC had a plan at quarterback that they thought they could execute, and then they watched those three guys and said, nope, we can't compete with that for the next decade, so we're going to have to figure something else out. Like, that's real. I think the youth movement at quarterback in the AFC is what's going to propel the AFC for the next decade into the conversation. It's going to be bigger and louder because you start adding in guys like Lamar Jackson to that conversation also, Justin Herbert into that conversation also. Like, there's a lot of young talent at the quarterback position in the AFC, and then there's a bunch of guys in the NFC that are about to go off into the sunset, and we're going to wake up and suddenly realize that The NFC doesn't have a Breeze or a Brady or a Rodgers anymore, and the AFC's got all of the dominant names. It's going to be a rough decade for a lot of teams in the AFC because they don't have that quarterback that looks like he took a bath in Crisco before the game started. You can't take him down, and he buys his offense an extra 10 seconds on every dang play. That's what happened over the weekend.
All right, ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz hangs out with us each and every week all the way up through Super Bowl Sunday, so we're excited to be hanging out with him here today. Jason, thank you so much. Are the Bengals in the Super Bowl when we talk to you next week? Are we talking about the Bengals heading to the Super Bowl next week?
I think so. Not just saying it because I'm talking to you guys. This is a winnable game for Cincinnati, and this is a Kansas City team that has been up and down in ways that we've never seen before. It's Mahomes that's very patient right now, but I don't know. I mean, I always say the trickiest part of winning a road playoff game is surviving the first 10 minutes. I don't think Arrowhead really matters to Joe Burrow. I don't think there's anything to survive for the Bengals. They're going to walk in, they're going to look around, they're going to say, all right, yeah, cool. And then they're going to go out and execute their offense. I don't think the Chiefs have an answer for Jamar Chase. We all know that. I think he's going to go off. Burrow's going to have a big day. I think the Bengals are headed to the Super Bowl.
All right, good stuff. Jason, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Have a great week, guys.
Later.
All right, that was ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. Good enough to join us. A lot to unpack there. We'll get to that back on the other side. Again, you're listening to the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty and Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. We'll step away for a few moments, but Jason Fitz, he believes your Bengals are going to the Super Bowl.
Wow, calling the shot.
I'm just saying, okay, we think we all want the Bengals-Niners matchup in the Super Bowl, just for historical purposes. But if you love your quarterback, you better be rooting for the Niners this weekend.
They defensive line nasty too.
If you care about Joe Burrow, if he really means as much to you as what you guys say, and you guys have this weird cult-like following of Joe Burrow, it's kind of creepy to be honest with you, but it is what it is. You should be rooting for the Niners because Aaron Donald, Von Miller. You see what he did to Tom Brady? Who actually has an offensive line. Holy smokes. I feel bad for Joe Burrow, if that's the case. But no one feels bad for anybody that's playing in the Super Bowl while my quarterback's at home nursing a shoulder injury. We'll be back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Don't go through another year with that awful joint pain. Now there's an exciting new treatment available here using natural biologics, regenerative solutions that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints. Hey, it's Keith Byers. I'm talking about QC Kinetics, now open here. QC Kinetics is a nation leader in non-surgical regeneration, highly concentrated natural biologics that can give you lasting relief. If you have pain in your knees, back, shoulders, hips, and you're tired of steroids, pain meds, and talk of major surgery, this is a treatment you've been hoping for. Call the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. Learn about how natural biologics can be used to get you moving again, pain-free. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call QC Kinetics now, 937-936-0325. That number again is 937-936-0325.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey guys, if you love football, Sunday, February 13th is a big day. And if you'd like to score points of your own, Monday, February 14th is even bigger. Order our Midnight Romance Special and have it delivered on Thursday or Friday of that week. It includes roses, Esther Price candy, and a bottle of wine. Order at firsttheflorist.com. That's FURST, theflorist.com. First Florist and Greenhouses, Dayton's largest family-owned florist and greenhouses at 1306 Troy Street since 1905. Order our Midnight Romance Special now.
March Madness and the Big Hoopla are back in Dayton with the 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16. Experience the madness live at UD Arena, following all protocols to ensure a safe and great time by all. The road starts here, March 15th and 16th at UD Arena. America's most passionate college basketball fans. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HR-V, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Get ultra strong for your South Pole. Charmin keeps your undies wetter than the North Pole. A shiny hiney, a brand new year. Come to us, Charmin. Happy New Year. May your holidays be Charmin, clean, merry, and bright. May all your undies be Charmin, clean, white.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 Special Financial Relief Assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
The hashtag Kenner was wrong clip will be uploaded to YouTube following the show later on this evening. So I've had a couple people asking about that. We'll make sure we get that, I don't want people checking that out more than they have to.
I got a question for you on that. Listening back to that clip, which one do you regret the most?
None of them. Because at the time, I don't regret anything I've said about the Bengals in the past because they deserved it. They were not good. And I've always said, like, for instance, when you have good organizations that make good draft picks and they pan out, and you know, there's certain organizations that deserve the benefit of the doubt. That, the Patriots. If the Patriots had won 6 games in 2 years, and then all of a sudden hit on a bunch of draft picks, you're going to be like, well, they had a couple off years with the draft and everything, but they finally hit on a bunch, and then you give them credit. They deserve the benefit of the doubt. It's a good organization. I don't think that this makes the Bengals anything right now other than Super Bowl contenders, which, as we, the Bucs are a bad organization. They get Tom Brady and a couple free agents that come their way because of Tom Brady. All of a sudden, are they a good organization? I don't think so. They're still one of those franchises that before Tom Brady, they had one of the longest playoff droughts, not winless droughts in the playoffs, playoff droughts. So I don't think the Bucs are a good organization. I don't think the Browns, because they made the playoffs last year, are a good organization. There's a lot of organizations I don't think are good organizations. I don't think Vegas is a good organization. There's just too much chaos there.
Right.
That's an organization that works, that people don't beat up too much because people want it to work out. People want Vegas to be a destination, and it is a destination, part of the country.
Right.
But an organization, are free agents lining up to go play for the Raiders? I mean, it's been a cluster. So I don't think that's a good organization. There are organizations that get the benefit of the doubt when they start hitting on draft picks. I know people don't like the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are actually a pretty good drafting team. They draft real well. They just, the noise gets, they lose because of the noise. They don't lose because they don't know how to draft, and they don't lose because they don't know how to get free agents. It's chaotic. It's Dallas. That's who they are. But no, I don't think that I'm not taking anything back in all seriousness about what I said in the time, because it was a team that had won 6 games in 2 years. The reason that they're the feel-good story right now, Kev, is because they're not supposed to be here. Like, that's the thing I keep trying to tell Bengals fans. Like, oh, you were wrong. What? Kind of, yeah. I mean, what I said was going to happen didn't happen. I was wrong. But my reasonings for why I believed what I did at the time, I wasn't wrong for that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always going to have my opinions based on where we're at right now. There's a team right now that we're all considering bad that could be the Bengals of next year.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the teams that have missed the playoffs this year. Everyone that's saying how bad Cleveland is. What if Cleveland all of a sudden is, because like I said, healthy, Baker's healthy, you don't have COVID and everything interrupted with it. What happens when they return to winning next year and all that? Are you guys going to admit that, oh, we were wrong about Cleveland? Actually, Baker's not that bad of a quarterback. He's pretty good. Yeah. You're not going to do that. So why are you asking me to, not you, but them? So no, my opinions about the Bengals at that time were based on who they were. They didn't deserve the benefit of the doubt when it came to who they drafted. There were Bengals fans that were concerned about, why would we take a kicker in the 5th round? It wasn't about who the kicker was. It was, good organizations could take kickers in the 5th round, and you trust that they're making the right decision. The Bengals take a kicker in the 5th round, and you're like, what the hell are they doing? Now, it worked out, but again, does that mean that it was smart to take a kicker in the 5th round? I don't know. I mean, it's working, and I'm all about Evan McPherson. I already said that yesterday. I'm not bashing these guys. But no, Kev, I just don't think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt. I will say, though, these are back-to-back drafts that have obviously put very, very good players out on the field.
Yeah.
And the offensive line is something that they can't seem to figure out. And it sucks that that's the one position group that they can't land, because every team has that one position group that they just can't draft to save their life. I mean, Bill Belichick and the Patriots, as great of an organization as they are, they can't draft a wide receiver to save their life.
Nope.
In Cincinnati, they hit it out of the park when it comes to wide receiver. They do it on accident. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, as far as in my lifetime, the Bengals constantly have wide receivers that are superstars in the NFL. It's never, I mean, you know what I mean? Your Chad Johnsons, your Ocho Cinco, whatever the hell you want to refer to him as, right into your AJ Greens, now into your T Higgins and your Jamar Chases. Like, every decade, they kill it, right? That's their thing. The Patriots, they just can't get a wide receiver to save their life. But you know what I mean? It's just crazy to me but it sucks that the one position group that the Bengals can't get right is probably the most important outside of quarterback.
So let me rephrase it. Which one of those do you think you were the wrongest? Is wrongest a word? Probably not. My mom's probably.
To be fair, though, you used a lot of clips.
I mean, we can always hear it again.
All right. We got the people in the chat. Do you want to hear the hashtag Kinner was wrong again? I don't remember. There was a lot in there. So Kev is asking me, of all the hashtag Kinner was wrong clips, which one was the worst one, I guess. And I'm curious for people, which one do they believe the worst one? Okay, fine. Hashtag Kinner was wrong, produced by Kev Nash.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
You're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
It's time for hashtag Kinner was wrong.
They will lose to Green Bay. They will win at Detroit. They will lose both their matchups with Baltimore. They will lose both their matchups with Cleveland. They will lose both their matchups with Pittsburgh. I have the Bengals going winless in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals have spent $250 million over the last 2 off seasons. You would think if you spend that much money, that's good enough to get you to maybe, I don't know, at least second in your division. They've spent all that money, and they're going to be last in the AFC North. That defense that they put all that money into this offseason, they're the 4th best defense in their own division.
Again? Wrong? Again?
This schedule is absolutely brutal, and just to set the tone, I do not have them finishing with only 3 wins, but it would not surprise me, and I think it says more about how tough the schedule is versus how bad the Bengals are, although I think it's going to be a balance of both. I don't think that this Bengals team is as good as what Bengals fans are hoping, but I'm just a hater. What do I know?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
What is wrong with them? With the Cincinnati Bengals. Did they ever say the Browns being the Browns? That's the Bengals being the Bengals.
Ouch. Wrong again.
Wrong. You're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because
they will get a division win. It'll be against the Steelers or the Ravens. It will not be against the Cleveland Browns. Unless my 13-win Cleveland Browns team in Week 17 is resting players and they basically hand the game to the Bengals, but that doesn't count as far as I'm concerned.
This can't be life. You are wrong again.
I keep seeing people in this comment section. Yeah, but Chase, they need Chase. He's going to be great. No. You want Chase. You don't need Chase, because if you draft Chase with this offensive line, you don't have a quarterback to throw it to him. I mean, Brandon Allen, he's really going to appreciate you drafting a receiver for him to throw to the last half of the season, but you don't need a receiver.
Bruh, come on, Kinner.
Hashtag Kinner was wrong.
very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
Oh man, a lot to be wrong about.
Yeah.
Fine. The one I was most wrong about is the Jamar Chase one. I was focused so much, like I made the mistake of narrowing down the Penei Sewell pick. I shrunk that down to Penei Sewell fixes your offensive line.
Right.
That was not the case. So I made the mistake of basing their entire improvement of the offensive line by putting it on one draft pick. The Bengals still screwed last year up to a certain extent, because you could have drafted Jamar Chase, which they did, and you get this mega talent. Okay. And it still should not have prevented that. They could have got Jamar Chase at 5, which they did. It's, that doesn't mean that you couldn't take an offensive lineman later. So the problem I have is like, keep in mind right now, everything's all rainbows, sunshine, and butterflies, because your quarterback has you a game away from a Super Bowl, and you're most likely going to win and get to a Super Bowl. And when that's all said and done, that doesn't excuse the fact that the organization gambled, Kev. Technically, they gambled. Mm-hmm. Your quarterback's rookie season came to an end the way that everyone told you it was going to. Like, that's the thing, too. Everyone told you the season was going to end up poor because you didn't fix the offensive line last season. Oh, no, Kinner, we got Joe Burrow. Everything's going to be fine. Knee snaps in week 11. Guess what? It's one of those things, knee snaps in week 11. And no one said, oh, man, Kinner was right. You guys got mad because I was talking about the very same thing I said was going to happen. And so for them to see Joe Burrow's knee look the way that it did, and then to just totally ignore the offensive line and don't bring up Riley Reif. If you think signing one guy, I was wrong for thinking that drafting one guy was going to fix that O-line. If you think signing one guy in free agency was going to fix it, you're also a joke. So I don't want to hear that either. That should have been their priority. But look, I can't say that the Jamar Chase thing was wrong, because you didn't just get a good wide receiver. You got a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL right now as a freaking rookie. And that's what's insane. And he's only going to get better. His route running is only going to get better. He now knows the NFL game. So he's going to wrap up his season here in about 3 weeks, because I think there's a good chance they beat the Chiefs this weekend. We'll get to our predictions later. Good chance they get to this Super Bowl, which is freaking amazing. But I was most wrong about the Jamar Chase pick, because I should not have said that, oh, man, they took Jamar Chase. They don't care about the OL. They proved to me they don't care about the offensive line, because after Jamar Chase, they continued to make weird picks after that. That's all. So, no, that's the one I was most wrong about, was the Jamar Chase pick, because clearly that was a gamble that was worth taking because they could have Jamar Chase. They still though were wrong for free agency. They should have made that a priority. Other draft picks as well. Gambling with Jackson Carman. Give me a break. Oh, but Willie Anderson said that he was really good. Well, how's that working for you? You might as well have Willie Anderson back out there at his age. You might get the same production. I don't know. I don't care about what Willie Anderson said about Jackson Carman. Jackson Carman, it was a waste of a pick. That's all.
Willie Anderson's not coming on the show. I would say it was the not winning the division game because they went on not only to sweep the Pittsburgh Steelers, sweep the Baltimore Ravens, they won the dang on division.
Well, like I said, injuries. The only one I was wrong about Pittsburgh. Wrong about Pittsburgh. Like they didn't just beat Pittsburgh, they kicked their ass.
Yeah, twice.
And that's pretty much a fully healthy Bengals Steelers team too. That's
and
just
the second matchup for sure.
But Steelers are one of those teams where I have a hard time looking at them and saying that they're not the Steelers. Well, they're not the Steelers anymore for the time being. They'll go get a damn Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and screw everything up for the rest of us as usual. But we'll see what happens here. But for me, I was wrong about the Steelers. I just couldn't pick against them. But now, if the Ravens don't get decimated by injuries in the preseason, at the very least, you split. If Cleveland's out, no, you lost both to Cleveland. You lost both to Cleveland. But no, I mean, yeah, to me, it was just the Jamar Chase thing at that. Because I wasn't wrong about the OL. O-line still sucks.
Man, if they go to the Super Bowl with this offensive line, boy.
And so here's the thing.
That's gonna be a Aaron Rodgers situation. How you and I talk about they don't give Aaron Rodgers all the extras because he wins with me and you playing wide receiver. I would be worried that they're going to do the same thing to him down in Cincinnati. Say, well, you didn't have an offensive line when you went to the Super Bowl. What do you need one now for?
So Tommy Pennington says, McPherson was a great pick. Yeah, he's talented. But again, there are organizations who are good enough to take a chance on a kicker early in a draft.
Right.
The Bengals aren't that organization. Now, it has worked out. Both could be true. McPherson was a great draft pick. But you're lucky he was a great draft pick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, Kev? That's all. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
So how long does it take for an organization to flip to say, all right,
we've had this conversation before.
Right.
And I'm not being a hater here, Bengals fans. I mean, you can ask Kevin, okay? A year ago at this time, I made sure to stop and say, just so you guys know, as much as I'm bragging about the Browns being in the playoffs, this doesn't change who they are as an organization. They are still a disaster. 1 year doesn't erase the decades of being a clown that they were. So, I don't know what that answer is, Kev. I don't know how many more years of the Browns being a plus 500 team or contending for the playoffs or being, a talented roster. I don't know how much longer they have to do it for me to buy into them and this Bengals team. I don't think if they get to a Super Bowl and let's say they just win the whole damn thing, they're still not a good organization. And I don't think anyone around the NFL will look at them as a good organization. That's all. But it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But you got to start somewhere. The Bengals organization is bad, but you have to start building it somewhere. And this is the start to that. What you do with this run is really going to be key because we learned with the Browns. Okay, you won last year. You got to the playoffs. You won in the playoffs. What do you do with it? They added to the roster, but they couldn't handle when things started falling apart. This young team, Jamar, by the way, Jamar, thought he was pretty cocky coming out of college. Now he's going to be even more cocky next year when things don't go his way a little bit. Well, he mentally crumbled. We don't know. These are things you can't tell me won't happen. I can't tell you it will happen. But I learned with Cleveland this year. A year ago at this time, I thought, oh, man, Cleveland will be back next year. In fact, they'll be in the AFC title game next year. They're going to get that defense fixed. They'll beat Buffalo. They'll beat Kansas City. They almost beat Kansas City in week one when Baker threw for 300-plus yards, multiple touchdowns, all that fun stuff. He gets hurt. Cleveland's not the same the rest of the way. It is what it is. You don't know what's going to happen. Look at Josh Allen. Everyone thought last year, man, they're going to get better this year. They'll beat Kansas City, and it'll be their year this year to get to the Super Bowl. You just lost an instant classic, unfortunately, but you're not promised to get back to the AFC title game, and you're damn sure not promised to win in the playoffs. It's tough to get to the playoffs. It's tough to win in the playoffs, especially with COVID now. COVID's not going anywhere, so you have to assume for the next 2 to 3 years.
Wait, it's still here?
Oh, yeah. You got to assume that for the next 2 to 3 years, COVID will wipe out rosters for weeks at a time, 1 week at a time. But it comes down to one game.
Right.
If the Browns beat the Raiders that week, Kev, they're in the playoffs, or at least they're facing the Bengals for the division championship in that final week. You know what I mean? It always comes down to that one game. So we'll see.
It's wacky, man. It's wacky, and that's why we love the sport so much, because there's a finite of games. And when you look at things like the NBA, there's so many games. People just get inundated with so many games, and like, all right, well, I'll check in after football is over and everything like that, because you still got half a season to go. But in the NFL, these games come so fast, so furious. And I mean, you just talked about it. We're just at week 1. We're just watching the Browns and Kansas City play week 1 of the regular season. And now we're in the AFC and NFC championship games. These games come fast and furious. So winning is vital. Like I told DJ Killer Kale, I was like, man, be greedy. Tell your boys be greedy, because you're right. You never know. This could be the only time that the Cincinnati Bengals get back to the AFC Championship game with Joe Burrow. I mean, Dan Marino made the Super Bowl the second year, never made it back.
And same thing. They thought the sky's the limit. Aaron Rodgers wins the damn Super Bowl, and with as talented as he is, guess what, Kev? And that's a good organization. Haven't been back to the damn Super Bowl in over a decade. And the Bengals fans are over here saying, I mean, this is just the beginning. You got Joe Burrow saying this is just the beginning. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, hey, Joey, kind of shut up about you. Nothing's promised. Everyone thought that I was going to have multiple Super Bowls. Everyone thought Aaron Rodgers would have multiple Super Bowls. He hadn't even been back to a Super Bowl. He hadn't even had a chance to lose one. Like, well, you know what I mean? Like that's what's crazy about all this, is nothing's guaranteed. So that's all I'm saying. That's what makes this year fun. You can't take for granted what's going on now. And you're right. This might be the least talented playoff Bengals team that Joe Burrow plays on for the next couple of years. Or unfortunately, it might be the most talented. You don't know what injuries and other things can creep up. But that's why all that matters is this week. You got the Chiefs, a team you beat already. You have confidence. Ooh. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, we had him on earlier. We had chatted with him regarding whether or not he thought the Cincinnati Bengals would get to the Super Bowl. Here's ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz.
I think so. Not just saying it because I'm talking to you guys. This is a winnable game for Cincinnati, and this is a Kansas City team that is been up and down in ways that we've never seen before. It's Mahomes that's very patient right now, but I don't know. I mean, I always say the trickiest part of winning a road playoff game is surviving the first 10 minutes. I don't think Arrowhead really matters to Joe Burrow. Like, I don't think there's anything to survive for the Bengals. They're going to walk in, they're going to look around, they're going to say, all right, yeah, cool. And then they're going to go out and execute their offense. I don't think the Chiefs have an answer for Jamar Chase. We all know that. I think he's going to go off. Burrow's going to have a big day. I think the Bengals are headed to the Super Bowl.
Wow. That sounds weird. Not because I'm a hater, but it just sounds... Bengals fans, can you guys admit, too, it sounds weird even to you? Like, it did sound weird to you, Kev? It sounds weird to everybody. And it
sounds weird just coming from what we know already. And like I said, it's house money. The Cincinnati Bengals are officially playing with house money. Like, making it to the playoffs, that's awesome. Them getting that playoff losing streak out the way, even better. But now you're playing with house money, and now it's time to get greedy, because why not? You know what I'm saying? We hear that phrase from so many teams that make it to the championships and everything like that, and that whole phrase, and why not us? You dang right that should be the mantra. You dang right. Because the opportunity is right there for the taking, man. We know how great Patrick Mahomes is, but you know what? He's had bad games this season before too. And matter of fact, the Cincinnati Bengals have already beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're not going to come in there with any lack of confidence. And they should be confident going into that matchup, because that defensive line outside of Chris Jones, who's out there wrecking shop, Frank Clark has a good game here or there, but there's nothing like that Tennessee defensive line. That secondary ain't Tennessee's secondary, especially if Tyrann Mathieu ain't out there. So do they have a chance? Absolutely, they have a chance. Would I pick them? I'll have to wait till Friday for my official pick.
Charlie says rank the organizations. If we're looking at the AFC North, let's rank the organizations in the Cleveland's the worst division Cleveland's the worst organization in the AFC North. They don't make the playoffs. They don't win divisions. They don't, you know what I mean? Like, they don't do a damn thing. Like, Cleveland's an embarrassing organization. That's my team. But unlike Bengals fans, I have self-awareness of who my team is and where they kind of rank. You know, I'm not delusional like some Bengals fans are. The Browns are the they're still a huge joke of an organization. Even when they win, they find ways to make winning look weird. Like that's just Cleveland. But in the AFC North, it's a coin flip between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the legacy perception. But in the last 2 decades, we've watched Baltimore build 3 different Super Bowl type contenders with 3 different quarterbacks.
Right.
They won it in the early 2000s. You won one with Joe Flacco. You have a Super Bowl contender with Lamar Jackson with 3 different quarterbacks, 2 different head coaches. This isn't a shot at Pittsburgh. I just think that what Baltimore has done, at least in the last 2 decades alone, I'd have to put Baltimore 1, Pittsburgh 2, and that's a 1A, 1B type situation. Pittsburgh hasn't had to change quarterbacks. Right. They haven't had to change head coaches. But they didn't really move on from Brian. By the way, did you see Brian Billick is on Herm Edwards?
Yes. I saw that, and I meant to hit you up when I saw that. We were
supposed to have him on. He was supposed to come on with us 2 weeks ago. The NFL Network reached out and said that he wasn't going to be able to come on with us that week, that we'd get in touch with him. He was living in Columbus. Obviously, he's moving. But that's why he's no longer with the network, because he was supposed to do some stuff with us this year. And the NFL Network said there were some things happening. Well, he took he's on Arizona State staff. I don't know.
Good weather out there.
On the offensive side, I guess. I don't know. Marvin Lewis, is he still on that staff?
No, I don't think Coach Lewis is out there anymore. I can double check.
Either way, but like Herm Edwards just bringing all these NFL guys over. It's funny, all the NFL coaches going college now, and college, guys go into the NFL. But last thing on this, Baltimore 1, Pittsburgh 2, Cincinnati 3, Cleveland 4. If I'm ranking the organizations, there you go. Cleveland and Cincinnati both bad, but Cincinnati, as I said, Cincinnati's a bad organization, but they have the same amount of playoff appearances as the Steelers and the Ravens. I think the Steelers, because they snuck in at the back end this year, now they have one more than the Bengals Ravens. But I found that interesting. But either way,
man, I guess I got to go the same way you went. I think I could go to Ravens. I think the Ravens have done a better job in the draft, and that's what I would give the Ravens a bonus point for over the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though the on-field success is basically identical and everything like that, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers did just sweep them this year and make the playoffs and all that great stuff like that. But, I mean, if I'm twisting my arm, I would say the Steelers just based off of super longevity, but over the last decade, I guess I would say Baltimore, number 1, Pittsburgh 2, Bengals 3, and Browns 4.
Ron Broadstock talking about Aaron Rodgers saying it's just the beginning. Aaron is too big of an a-hole, especially talking about Aaron Rodgers. When the game isn't going his way, Joe Burrow will never be on the sidelines making his teammates feel bad. You don't know that. If you go back to that game that when the Bengals were getting their behinds kicked by the Chargers, Joe Burrow was not over there acting like an a-hole or whatever, but he was sitting over there on the sidelines away from everybody else. Like, he didn't look like this guy that was rounding up the troops, and that's fine. I'm not bashing Joe Burrow, but let's stop with this. By the way, all the players took Aaron Rodgers' side. Aaron Rodgers actually is not an a-hole to his teammates. Aaron Rodgers actually went to the organization fighting for his teammates. He wanted, he was defending his teammates who were cut, and weren't respected and weren't taken care of the way that they should have. Aaron Rodgers actually is a very good team player. This really doesn't have to be a JB versus Aaron Rodgers thing. You got Aaron Rodgers and Field Goal Joe. Field Goal Joe, I'm sure, will take care of his teammates, okay, between the 20s. Aaron Rodgers takes care of his teammates as well. In fact, Devontae Adams, he will not stay in Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers is not there. Now, if Aaron Rodgers was this a-hole that you're referring to, Ron, Devontae Adams would only stay if Aaron left. I don't believe that that's the case. I think that you are projecting your feelings of Aaron Rodgers and creating this idea that, like, I've never heard players talk bad about Aaron Rodgers. I know he has this weird little family thing. Yes, He had that run-in with Mike McCarthy, but, at the time I thought Aaron was a moron for chasing a Super Bowl winning head coach out of there, but watching the way McCarthy runs things in Dallas, it doesn't surprise me that that's the case. Aaron's a difficult dude.
Right.
Their personalities are not even the same. Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers, they're not even the same. I'm not saying Joe Burrow will turn into that. No, I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is I'm not going to say that that's the case. He went on to say that, Aaron Rodgers makes his teammates feel bad, like how we make our dogs feel because they had an accident on the floor. One way of looking at it, I guess. That's interesting.
Man, I'll say this about Aaron Rodgers, man, and I'll say this about everybody. These NFL guys, the guys in the locker room, the guys in the coaching staff, this is their job. So sit down, think about everybody that you work with. Do you get along with everybody you work with?
Yes.
It's a big fat no. So people that you work with, you can still coexist and you can still do the job. And that's all that needs to happen. Would it be great if Aaron Rodgers was an A+ dude? I'd have no idea. But everything that I hear from Aaron Rodgers, I think he's a difficult person. But guess what? That ain't against the law. There's nothing wrong with being a difficult person. There's difficult people in my own family.
MJ is difficult.
Yeah, like it is what it is. Is he a great quarterback? Yup. And as bad as he played on Sunday or on Saturday night, if he came to my team, I'm happy because he's super good. Do I really care about like, oh man, he's an a-hole to his parents? I don't care. I don't know him. He ain't doing no crimes, is he? Being an a-hole towards your parents is not a crime. It's just foul. It's weird, but it's not a crime. So I could care less. My former quarterback got committed of a crime. That's strange. That's weird. But what did I do? It's my quarterback. I rooted for him as he won me games. We're all hypocrites, like you love to say. So if Aaron Rodgers want to come on down to the Pittsburgh Steelers and wear the black and yellow, I'll gladly take him.
Yeah, he said so much that he wouldn't throw another pass to his teammates other than Adams. Again, Aaron Rodgers has Adams, has good receivers, but not all quarterbacks are fortunate to have a T. Higgins, a Tyler Boyd, and a Jamar Chase.
Take the check down.
Aaron Rodgers would definitely throw touchdowns if he had T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. I'm just saying. It's not an opinion. That's a fact. Aaron Rodgers would, unless it's negative 10 out. 518-1410. Phone lines are full. We'll get to your calls next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and cold, a high near 26. Tonight's going to be mainly clear and cold, a low near 5. And tomorrow will be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 22. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to sing it.
We're singing words now.
We'll even sing the business part.
Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Now that's a commercial you'll remember, even if you don't remember the bundle and save with Progressive part.
We're singing a commercial.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is the end of the jingle. A jingle about insurance.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects. 70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations. Collett Propane is proud to serve the greater Miami Valley. Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Find us online at collettpropane.com or visit us in Xenia, Wilmington, or Lebanon. Collett Propane, proudly keeping the Miami Valley warm for over 65 years.
Folks, when you feed your dog, does he just stand there and look at you? Make your dog great again with premium foods from Homestead Feed and Supply. If it eats, we can feed it. 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Roddy Patterson says, what big free agent went to Green Bay in the last 10 years? Charles Woodson is about it. I mean, free agents don't go to Green Bay, but I don't. Roddy, are you asking, like, you think it's Aaron Rodgers that keeps him from going there? I mean, Reggie White, I think, is like the biggest free agent to ever go to Green Bay. And I think that, and there's been some great quarterbacks that have played for the Packers. I don't think it's the quarterbacks that are keeping free agents from coming to Green Bay. I think that it's, the organization, it's the fact that it's Green Bay. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the organization itself. It's just a different type of organization. The fact that they have won as many games as they have over the decades, considering that fact, it's just shows that that's how good of an organization that is. So I don't know the context of what you're asking, Roddy. So just clarify that. Oh, okay. He just responded. He said, honest debate topic. What is the issue? I think it is the fact that it is Green Bay. If it was, I would be more willing to say Aaron Rodgers is why free agents don't go to Green Bay if Brett Favre was getting free agents. You know what I mean? Like if all of a sudden Green Bay was getting free agents left and right, and then Aaron Rodgers, the jerk of a quarterback, acts the way he does, and then all of a sudden free agents stop going there, then I'd be more on board with that. But I disagree with Ron Broadstock's view that Aaron Rodgers is the reason why no one wants to go play there. I've never heard teammates. By the way, Joe Burrow will have a teammate at some point that doesn't like playing with. That's just how it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like Big Ben, plenty of guys love playing for him. There'll always be guys that say they didn't love playing for him. That's just how it goes. Like, a lot of guys that don't like playing with Baker Mayfield, a lot of guys that have his back every single week. I don't think that Green Bay, that Aaron Rodgers is why free agents haven't gone there. I just think that it's Green Bay. No one was swarming to play with Brett Favre there, but I don't think people were like, I don't want to play with Brett Favre. I don't want to play with Aaron Rodgers. I think it just comes down to, I don't want to play for Green Bay. Plus, Green Bay, they're not very lucrative as far as their offerings in free agency to begin with.
The biggest difference is this is the NFL, this ain't the NBA, where free agency is like the end-all, be-all. Most of the time, the end-all, be-all is the draft. You know, you better your team with the draft and free agency. Most of the time, the big-time free agent teams that dabble in free agency, they end up being mediocre at best. I can remember when the Washington football team signed Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith. You know their record that season after that? 6-9. Like, they won.
Those Browns are like, this is a pretty good season. It's not bad.
Mediocre at best. So I think people overlook the free agents that they do end up getting. And they build through the draft and everything like that. They let Corey Linsley walk in free agency to go to the Chargers, I believe. That's where Corey Linsley ended up. And they end up having the second best offensive rookie in the league on the offensive side of the ball. I forget their center. So he's the new center for them. Like, every team doesn't build the exact same way, you know. So for that, I'm just not impressed with like a ton of dudes just going there in free agency, or big time names going there in free agency. The big time free agent is keeping Aaron Rodgers. Are we going to count that for the Green Bay Packers, making sure they're re-signing their own? Because they re-signed Devontae Adams before.
Who will stay again
yeah,
if Aaron Rodgers is there. So yeah.
Corey Linsley re-upped once with the Green Bay Packers. He was good. He's still good. So I don't get blown away from that, from saying like, oh, man, this player X is a big-time free agent. Because in the NFL, you know, they can franchise you and then franchise you again. So, like, they can draw this thing out. How many times was Kirk Cousins franchise tag with the Washington football team before he ended up getting a deal with Minnesota and everything like that? I just don't think free agency is a big deal as people make it out to be, especially in the NFL.
I think it's about to be. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl last year because of free agency. And if the Rams win it this year, I think you're going to start to see teams start shifting their focus to that, because everyone loves that instant gratification. Right now, it's fun. I love the NFL right now is fun because what the stage that the Bengals are in is the funnest to me. The year two of a rookie quarterback, you have your good rookie quarterback because of bad play for a while. And there's nothing like, for me, the Browns turnaround was so dang fun. 0-16, win 7 games the next year. The excitement of Baker. Remember that Baker. Now everyone has a perception of Baker that's bad. I'm not here to debate that right now, but you got to rewind back to that time. Everything that you're saying about Joe Burrow, who is better than Baker. I'm not trying to get into that debate with you, but what Joe Burrow means to the city of Cincinnati early on, the Browns thought they had that with Baker. You remember, like, because LeBron was on his way out. They took the big LeBron mural down, and everyone's like, who should they replace the LeBron mural with? Everyone said Baker, because the Browns won 7 freaking games, okay? They won 7 games right off the bat, and he brought this energy. He brought this hope. He brought this optimism that Cleveland football had not had in a long, long time.
Right.
And this part of the turnaround is fun. Then, you know, say what you want about the OBJ debacle now, but when the Browns got OBJ, let's not act like everyone around the NFL didn't say, oh man, the Browns are for real now. Like they're going for it. You know, they moved on from Zeitler, which was a mistake, to get him. But, you know, everyone thought, man, if the Browns and Baker Mayfield went from 0-16, Baker Mayfield comes in, they win 7 games, you know, and he did that with his best receiver being Jarvis Landry. Now you bring in OBJ, and now the sky's the limit. What ended up happening in Cincinnati is what everyone, Browns fans wise, was hoping was going to happen in Cleveland. That second year hit the ground running, you know, but obviously the stability, you know, was there. You know, you obviously had the Hugh Jackson firing, and then you had to go to the interim coach, and then you bring in Freddie Kitchens. Like that set the Browns back. That set the Browns back as far as I'm concerned. Does it say one camera?
Yes.
Why?
I was going to tell you to go to one camera. I got to run.
Oh, why don't you just write it down so we didn't have to say that on the air? Come on, Kev. 518-1410. But the bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the Cincinnati, this is the fun part of the turnaround. Cincinnati turning, this is fun because like you have all these resources. The Bengals of all the playoff teams have more cap space than all of the playoff teams right now. So of all the playoff teams, the Bengals are the team that you expect to improve the most from this playoff to next year's. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Like the Buccaneers, there's a lot of teams you could look at and say, well, if Tom Brady comes back, I guarantee the Bucs will be here. And Rodgers goes back to Green Bay, I guarantee they'll be here. But how much better will the Packers be next year in the playoffs compared to who they were this year? Not performance-wise, just team as a whole. I don't know how much better the Packers will be next year than this year. I think they'll be about the same, a couple new faces replacing some old ones. Green Bay will pretty much be Green Bay next year. I think a better performance. I don't think that their performance against the Niners last weekend was an indictment of who they actually are. I mean, it's what makes the playoffs good and bad. It all comes down to one day. You go months and months of physical practices and games to have a bad performance one night and your whole season comes to an end. It's not like the NBA. It's a 7-game series. Baseball, 5-7-game series. Football, it all comes down to one. But what I find most fascinating is the Bengals, as good as they are right now, a game away from a Super Bowl, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, that defense, and they have 50+ mil to spend. They have more cap space than any playoff team. They will be the most improved playoff team next year, and that's scary because they're 4 quarters away from a damn Super Bowl right now. Pretty damn impressive as far as I'm concerned. Mark Smith says, you talk like the Bengals are Super Bowl bound, and in the same breath, you say they suck. What happened to the new Kinner we were starting to like? Kevin, please keep up the good clips. LOL. I didn't say they suck. Why are you being sensitive, Mark? I was starting to like you as a Bengals fan. I was starting to really appreciate you as a Bengals fan. I even wore your sunglasses that you bought. I even wore the Joe Burrow sunglasses. Don't get sensitive on me now. Don't get sensitive on me now. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. We'll get to the calls here in just a second. Ron Broadside says crappy division, I think, has a lot to do with it. Same thing the Cowboys experienced this year. All right, to the phones we go. Let's go to Nick. Nick, how are you, sir? Nick, you there? All right, 518-1410. Let's go to Doug. Doug, you are next. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I appreciate you holding.
I'm not coming to too much talk about whatever we just been talking about. So I have a couple of questions. I've been hearing all day long about the last 2 days about why didn't Buffalo squib the kick, and that was bad coaching, and I just think that's so ridiculous because when Buffalo scored that touchdown, if you sitting there at home and you said they need a squib kick it. If you didn't say that, then ain't no sense of saying it a day or two later because it's so easy to say what somebody should have did a day or two later. Now, that didn't enter my mind. I didn't think nothing about them squibbing no quick. And all these people that's talking about they should squib this and did this, I bet you they didn't think that then. So it's easy to think that later. If you squib the kick, that wouldn't have guaranteed that because the clock don't start until somebody touched the ball. So you could squib a kick, and they could have smothered it at the 40. And then they had even better field position, and it might have took an extra second.
Thank you.
So,
that's exactly what I said yesterday, Doug. Everyone that was doing this, how horrible of a decision it was to not squib it. I thought, for me, I'd rather kick it out of the end zone. There's 13 seconds left. If I'm the Chiefs, I love the fact that the Bills. I'm sorry, the Bills. I love that they kicked it at the back of the end zone because with 13 seconds, you put Patrick Mahomes at the 25. That's not a lot of time at all. You would think the reason it was such a shocking result is because you can't believe that they covered that much yards or that much ground in that little bit of time because it was unlikely to happen. I would much rather have Patrick Mahomes at the 25 than squibbing it. You people act like they were just going to pick up the ball and run. To your point, Doug, if they squibbed it and someone downed it at the 40. Now Aaron Rodgers is 1 throw away as opposed to 2. I think people are making way too big a deal about that. I'm with you on that.
Right. I mean, and I've been hearing it all day, and I've been trying to get through. And it's just amazing that most people are saying that. And I'm like, you could have push kicked it and maybe kicked it to the 15. Well, if you could have kicked to the 15, you could let it bounce on in the end zone. It would have been the same result. You just assured somebody was going to pick it up and run it. No, I'm pretty sure they said, we're going to let Patrick Mahomes win this. I don't think they never was going to try to return it.
Yeah, like if you're going up against, for instance, like if it's the Bengals, I squib kick it against Ryan Tannehill. I'm not confident that Ryan Tannehill, even at getting the ball at the 35 or 40 in 13 seconds, is going to have a capable of enough arm to be able to make a play to put him in scoring position. But if I'm going up against Patrick Mahomes, you're damn right. Kick it through the back of the end zone. I want Patrick Mahomes to have the ball at the 25 as opposed to risking him getting it at the 40.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I was so annoyed. There's too many media members and fans that are more outraged at the decision-making of a coach or the officiating or a overtime rule, instead of just looking at the defense saying, hey, how about you don't let a guy run a seam wide open down the middle? How about you don't let guys just catch it and run for 10 more yards? We got to hold players accountable.
And it's their best guy.
Yep.
It ain't like you let the third or fourth string guy. You let the two best guys on the team and possibly in the league go wide open. The problem had nothing to do with no squib kick. You ain't supposed to let them go out. You shouldn't let nobody run wide open, let alone those two.
Yep, just like the overtime rule too as well. Like, man, Josh Allen should have had a chance to tie it up. Well, no, then blame the defense. I mean, yeah, by the way, I think the overtime rule is silly. I do believe, I think overtime, we make it too complicated. You play 4 quarters of regular football of just play till time expires. I think that you should put 10 minutes up or 6 minutes up or 8 minutes up, play till it hits 0 and play for the lead. And if you have to go into more overtime, and I heard Keyshawn today, oh, well, you don't care about our safety then. Where the hell were you when they added a 17th game? I didn't hear no players complaining about player safety then. Give me a damn break.
There you go. You know what? Hey, now that is an idea that I have never thought about, but that's probably perfect. Give them 8 minutes. You got 8 minutes. That's you should use that. You should try to run that by somebody, because I think that's a good idea. Even if you play another quarter.
Yep.
And
it's crazy.
Talk about safety. Safety is a joke. But I got one other thing I need to say real quick, because I don't want to hog up there. In the Cowboy game, and I need to ask you, and you may not know, to me, that play they ran, it wasn't stupid. But why would you just not throw the ball backwards, maybe 2 yards from where you are, out of bounds?
I think you called the other day about this. I just don't think they're quick enough. And thank you, Doug. I appreciate your call. I just don't think. Look, I think it was Doug the other day that called and said, "Well, the Cowboys should have just thrown the ball backwards out of bounds to stop the clock." I mean, there technically were those options, but you're asking guys to think on their feet very quickly that are not coached well. Watching the Chiefs and the Bills, the reason that game was executed so perfectly, the reason that those teams were able to score so quickly within a short amount of time, it's because those were prepared offenses, smart quarterbacks, well-run offenses that knew how to execute. They were prepared. The Cowboys did not look prepared. The Bills, there was a couple times where when they scored or the Chiefs scored, you're like, well, that's it. That's the game. They got the ball. They knew exactly where they were going with it. They had a plan. They knew exactly who to target. And you could just tell that they were well coached, well prepared, smart quarterback play. And then you have the joke that is the Dallas Cowboys, who has talent, but they're not well coached. Dak Prescott, not as good a quarterback as people think. That's why, as a Cowboys fan, I kept saying, everyone's screaming, oh, Jerry Jones is so wrong. I can't believe they're not paying Dak Prescott. Well, have you watched Dak Prescott play? And I don't mean look at the highlights that the Sports Center clips together. Do you actually watch the guy play football? He's not very good against good teams. He beats up on the bad teams. He can't beat the good teams. And then you're shocked in a playoff game when he doesn't make the right decision against a good defense. Wow, I'm so surprised. I'm not surprised. The Cowboys, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. I would not have paid him that much. You know what? I would have brought Andy Dalton back. You're still, then you definitely wouldn't have won in the playoffs. You're not guaranteed to win in the playoffs with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's an overrated quarterback in the National Football League. He's not my cup of tea. He's just not. And I'm a Cowboy fan, and I defend Baker Mayfield for a damn living. So I'm just saying, it is what it is. James, how are you? James, you still there? All right, James is gone. And so are we. We'll be back in a moment. 518. Actually, no, we are out of time, Kev. We're out of time. Kinner. Hashtag Kinner was wrong.
That was awesome. That's going up on the web, right?
That will be up on the web. We got the graphic for it and everything. It'll be up on YouTube. By the way, subscribe to the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. on YouTube. Follow the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page where you can watch the show live every weekday. Shout out to everyone. Unless your name is Justin Cox or David Shaw, I appreciate everybody who tunes in on Facebook and YouTube to watch the show. So there you go. Roddy, Mark Smith, Tommy, everyone that's been jumping in. Will, over the last couple of moments to close out the show. Appreciate you guys. We'll do this again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and of course Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. It's bowling night for me. Strike! Actually, it's beer drinking night, and they let you bowl. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Gentlemen, now you can find the best brands and fits for you without even trying.